boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars.
Didn't even get to cross.
I said I'm moving too far. Get to glance. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars.
Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be on a Wednesday night. Thank you for being here. As always, smash the like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all that good shizzle. Guys, hope you're doing good. Premier League's back this weekend. Early kickoff lunchtime this Saturday. West Ham come to Tottenham Hotspur. London derby. We'll discuss it. But tonight's not about what I think. It's not about what is happening this weekend. It's about what you, the fans, whether you're Spurs or not, you're welcome on tonight. Come on, come and have your say, and we will debate whatever you feel like talking about. First of all, big up to JP for designing the Tottenham Away t-shirt inside. Big up, JP. Also want to say thank you to everyone in the chat. Say a quick hello to everyone who's here. Daryl, Tony Rodriguez, Eugene, Howlin, Mike Zappa, the legend, LSPI in the house, Language Angels channel member, big up. We got Ryman, JJ, got Jeff, Huddersfield Town, big up. How you doing? Channel member as well. We've got Sammy, Mehmet, and the boys and girls. We've got the Sheriff channel member, big up to you. Rinka Ticks in the house. Rich, Jason, and Mark. Thank you for being with us. We've got 100 people watching already. Like, subscribe, hit notification bell. Before we bring in the first guest, I just want to send my weekly or every fortnight reminder to Charlie THFC. Where are you? Has anyone seen him? Chicken alert. Chicken alert. Got a lot to say on Twitter. Hides behind his keyboard. Makes up a fake name. Got a fake account. Where is he? Charlie, come. Come and have your say. Has anyone seen Charlie? We're trying to find Charlie. Come on, Charlie. You can do it. Don't be scared. And also a massive thank you to the cretin on the internet, SW Spurs and Madzi, for their awful rhetoric on Twitter. I'm not even on Twitter and they're still talking about me. Still talking about Tottenham away. It's unbelievable. Anyway, that all said, let's bring on the first guest. We've got in the back, we've got Tottenham Forever, a.k.a. Ryan, and we've got Mark. So let's bring on Ryan first, hear what he has to say. And yeah, Ryan, welcome. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, not too bad still. Not too bad. How are you, man?
Do you know what? I'm good. I was away for a week. I came back and yeah, Spurs. Let's go. Let's see what happens this weekend. How you doing?
Well, do you know what? It's the same old things, right? What's up, Lucky? Sorry, my cat's in the background meowing. Yeah, no, literally, it's the same old thing every week, right? It's either if it's someone in the bottom half, we're gonna win. If it's someone in the top half, we're not gonna win. So I think we already know where this one's going this week, don't we? Still.
Well, I'm predicting a 3-1 or a 4-1 win. People think I'm a little bit crazy predicting a high score, but I think West Ham, the way they play a high line is suicide. It's worse than us, and I think we're the kind of team that will exploit it. Can they get in behind us and catch us out? Yeah, they probably will. But I think this is a game where they're not as good as Brighton, in my opinion. Not right now. Maybe as the season goes on, they'll improve. But right now, West Ham don't look good. So I think we win this. I think we win it by a couple of goals. What's your thinking?
Yeah, no, do you know what, right? I hate to say it because my mate's a West Ham fan and he's got my other cat and kitten. So if he ever watches me saying this, then he's gonna absolutely hate me for this. But I honestly think that it'll probably be more like a 5-2, 5-3 game.
Oh right, yeah, real high scoring. Do you think West Ham will score 2 or 3 goals then?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same old thing with Ange, isn't it? It's the same old thing where it's the higher line. It's always going to catch us out. It's always going to catch us out. And yeah, I know West Ham aren't as good as what like an Arsenal or Liverpool are, but you can't. It's like their cup final at the end of the day, isn't it? When you look at it, and it could literally be anything, really. But it could just be anything, and it could be 5. It could be 5-3. It could be 6-4. It could be literally whatever you want to make it out to be. Because if they're ever going to be playing a high line, that I very unlikely think they will. But if they do, it could be raining goals down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah, so I was saying on Charlie's show, Big Up No Filter TV. I was on Charlie's show yesterday, and we were talking about the game, and I said that for me, if West Ham play with that high line, I think we're going to rip them apart. But if they adapt and they actually drop deep and let us have the ball, I think we could be in trouble because they've got Bowden, Antonio, Paqueta, and Kudus. If they can get the ball out wide to those guys, that's where Tottenham are so vulnerable. But for them to make that work, they've got to drop deep and not play out.
But the thing that scares me.
Do
you know what?
And I haven't seen West Ham do that this season. I haven't seen them adapt like that.
Yeah. Now, do you know what? There's only 2 players in that whole team that actually scare me, and that is Bowen and Kudos. Apart from that, no one else scares me. Paqueta's just bang average, in my opinion. he could make Everton look good. Let's put it like that, because he's just bang average in my opinion. I don't know what everyone else thinks about it, but in my opinion, I think he's just bang average. Their goalkeeper is exactly the same as everybody else. Literally could get in goal for literally any of the bottom sides. But see what I mean? So realistically, the only two that really scare me is Bowen and Kudos.
Mate, they're both good players. I think Paquette is actually a good player, but we can disagree. But Bowden and Kudos, yeah, and they play in those wide forward roles, which is what I'm scared of. If West Ham get the ball out wide to them and there's space for them to play into, like what Brighton did to us, we could be in big trouble. But it means that West Ham need to adapt, and I haven't seen them adapt all season, Ryan. I haven't seen West Ham adapt.
Yeah, but then it's always against Tottenham that they always do seem to adapt, though, don't they? That's the scary thing.
Yeah, people call it Dr. Tottenham, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's always West Ham that seem to adapt when it comes to us. When it's to anyone else, whether it's Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, whoever else, they just don't adapt. But because it's Tottenham and it's their cup final, they're going to adapt. I can guarantee it now. Still, they're going to adapt. But do I think we have enough? Yeah, by a long chalk, I think we've got more than enough. Like I keep saying, I don't rate Solanke, but he'll probably bang in a few goals. I can see him banging in a few goals as well.
Well, I hope so, because he needs to get some more goals.
And do you know what? I'm actually going to make a really bold prediction as well still, yeah, right? It's a really bold one. And anyone that knows me well enough, like Dave, Sava, right, know me to be not a Brandon Johnson lover. But I even think he'll score.
If there's space in behind for us to exploit, which I think there will be, because I don't think West Ham will adapt, then everyone can practically score. Honestly, I watched that West Ham Chelsea game at the Olympic Stadium, and West Ham were just playing suicide football, and every goal that went in that Chelsea scored, it was the same thing: one ball through the middle, one ball over the top. And West Ham, they never, a bit like Tottenham, they don't adapt, and they just allowed Chelsea to rip them apart. So I think it could be one of those games where we get into them. I mean, look, West Ham could get in behind us as well. It could be what you said. It could be a 5-3, 5-2. Who knows? But just looking at West Ham this year, they haven't been that good. I haven't. By the way, I don't think Spurs have been that good, but
no.
We're definitely a good pressing team. We're definitely good in possession. So,
but do you know what's really worrying me though? Still, right, is I keep hearing people saying, "Oh, well, Solanke's a good player." The only thing he's actually, in my opinion, and I don't know if you would agree with me or not still, and that's fine if you don't, but I only think he's good at one thing, and that's pressing.
I think he holds up the ball well. I think he holds up the play and links in plays. If you look at the first goal we scored at Brighton, it was Solanke that played in Johnson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I do think Solanke does hold up the ball and link up the play well, and pressing. They're the two things I think are his kind of standout offerings to the team. But as an out-and-out striker that scores goals, I think he's average.
Yeah, and it's not like having someone like a Jermaine Defoe, or I'm not even thinking of like the just over the last few years, but I'm going back like years, like Sheringham, Berbatov even. He's not one of those kind of players, and that's what I think we are missing up front big time, personally.
100%. And we're missing a left-sided forward that is better than Timo Werner.
Yeah,
even Odebert.
Because if you think about it, right,
okay.
Odebert's okay. But I'm. If you're wanting to talk about the left-sided forward, I don't. Anyone's better than Werner, right? But I think who would do a very, very good job there would be Mikey Moore. Okay, yeah, he's a right-footed player, but that's perfect because then he cuts on the inside and curls it in. And then if you want to switch it up, put him on the right-hand side and see what he can do with his left foot if he starts getting worked out.
What do you say to fans who say that Mikey Moore is too young to be given that level of responsibility or to have that kind of weight on his shoulders?
I call that poppycock because. Go on, Stel. Sorry, go on.
No, that was it. That was the question.
Okay, right, yeah. Well, I call that poppycock because if you're old enough to take him into a European game, right, with real Lancashire as well. Let's put it. Like I said 2 weeks ago. Still, I said with more Lancashire playing, they both did. So I was right about that. But I'm not gonna be at my own trumpet at that one. But if he's old enough to play in a game in Europe, okay, it was against a bad team, right? But if he's old enough to play in Europe, he's old enough to play in the Premier League. Just my personal opinion. And I think he's not enough. He needs that game time still, but it's only going to come with him playing week in, week out. Look at someone like Phil Foden. Everyone was saying that he wasn't ready at first. Or is he ready? Is he this? Is he that? Until you throw him in with putting pressure on the kid, but not too much pressure where he then breaks and cracks. But if you put on enough pressure to see where he goes at first, if you think the pressure's too much for him, bring him off. So don't literally keep him on there for like 90 minutes if he's not handling it well. Bring him off. Then we can say, okay, cool. And then put someone like Odegaard, if Odegaard's even fit.
Yeah, I'm happy with anyone to come on except for Werner. If I start talking about Werner, I'm just going to end up losing it again. I think he's one of the worst signings this club's ever made, and I'm stunned. I'm stunned that he's at the club. But yeah, I'd give Mikey Moore a go. Either he's going to shine or he's not, right?
Yeah, why not? And the thing is, right? He's not going to get. He's only going to learn, right, by making mistakes. But then Ange also says that he wants his players to make mistakes, but keep your head up. So why not give him a go? Because, like I said, he can play on. He might be a right-footed player, but then try him out on the left and let him cut in on the right. And then if that doesn't work, try him out on the other side and then bring him to cut in on his left. Because I'm telling you one thing, right? One of those two positions, right, are going to be his. If he is good enough to prove it week in, week out. And I'm not saying he's generational or anything like that, because that's way too early to be saying anything like that. Is he a good player? Yes. Can he improve? Darn right he can. He's not one of like most of these other fans. I don't want to call them toxic because that's not the right way to go around starting to accuse fans of being toxic like that. But give the kid praise that he's a good player, but he can improve. And all these fans that are just wanting to say, oh, well, it's all this, that, and the other. He's generational. He's not generational because he hasn't proven anything to say that he's generational. A good player, call him that as much as you like because that's what he is. He wouldn't have made it through the academy if he wasn't a good player.
When I hear the words generational and world class, I switch off.
And that's why I don't. And that's why I say don't use that for Mikey Moore because that's not what he is. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player, and we need to see what he's about, and that means giving him more time and putting him in big moments to see what he does. But
That's why I don't think that it'd do him any
do
harm.
you think he'll start Mikey Moore? Do you think it's going to be Werner again? I think he's going to start Werner. I think he just loves Werner. I think Ange's deluded. I think he just
I
loves
think that as
Timo
well.
Werner.
Yeah, I think that as well. I think it starts with Werner, and he only gives Mikey another 10 minutes at the end, and then it just turns into one of those shit shows where even if we're like say that we're wrong here totally, and it goes where West Ham are like 3-1 up or something, and we need to get back in, right? He won't even bring Mikey on then. The only time he'll bring him on is if we're winning for the last 10 minutes, and I don't think that's good for the kid. He's a good player, and he needs to just have 90 minutes under his belt in the Premier League. And the same with Will Lancashire as well. Am I saying start him over Solanke? No, I'm not saying start him over Solanke, but if Solanke's injured, yes, bring him in. Don't worry about Werner going, oh, Werner's all this and Werner's all that, because Werner's garbage. I don't even like him when he was at Chelsea. I was laughing at him when he was missing chances at Chelsea. And now it's shocking to say that we've got him.
Chelsea fans are laughing at us for having him at the club. Ryan, let me ask you one more thing because I want to bring in Mark as well.
Yeah.
Ange did an interview that's out on the internet at the moment where he said that the Premier League is very arrogant. There's a lot of arrogant teams. Is that not the pot calling the kettle black? What do you make of that?
Oh, I think my reaction tells it all, doesn't it? He's delusional. He is absolutely delusional. If he's saying, that the Premier League is arrogant, I think you're a bit delusional there, Ange. No offense, but you are. Come on, that's ridiculous. It's not the same. What and then you hear that, right? But then what? The Scottish League isn't arrogant, or the Aussie League isn't arrogant, or the Japanese League isn't arrogant. Come on.
That's what he said. It's
bonkers. It's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
Ryan, give me your score prediction for Spurs West Ham before you go.
Do you know what? I want to be right for once, and I want to be going into the rest of the weekend happy as Larry. So do you know what? Right, I'm going to use my heart for once instead of my head. I'm going to say a 5-3 win. Sod it.
It's gonna be stressful. 5-3 win. All right, cool. Let's see what happens on the weekend. Yep. Ryan, as always, thank you for coming on.
No, you're good, mate.
Look after yourself, and we'll speak again.
Yeah, cool.
Make sure you email me when you get a chance.
Yeah, I did copy the link from the chat. I'm not sure if that's okay, and then I can just put it into my email. Then can't I? That's cool. I'll send it over to you now, then, mate.
All right, big up to Ryan. Thanks for coming on. Look after yourself.
Yeah, will do, mate.
See you later.
See ya.
All righty. Big up to Ryan for coming on. Quick reminder, anyone that wants to come on, the link is posted at the top of the chat. You just need to have your camera on. I'd like some new people to come on. Don't be shy. Has anyone... there's the link, by the way, in case you can't find it. But it is at the top of the chat as well. And has anyone seen Charlie? Charlie, where are you? Charlie, stop being a coward. Don't do it. Man up. All righty, let's bring on Mark. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Stel. How are you, buddy? All right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm looking forward to the weekend, actually. I actually enjoyed the international break. Sometimes Spurs takes me to a place where I just want them to go away for a little bit, and now I'm ready for them to come back. Let's see what happens. How are you, though? How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm a bit. To be honest, I'm like most people. I watch a lot of podcasts, you, Sava, and I'm not understanding the fanatical love for Ange. You give these Spurs supporters facts and figures, and they don't believe it. It's mind blowing, and the hatred towards you it's unbelievable. You tell people the truth, they don't want to believe it. They want to believe in fairy tales, and this man's the Holy Grail, and he's going to bring back cups on the glory days of the '60s. They're deluded, absolutely deluded. I don't know how long you've been, mate, is a Spurs supporter. I've been well over 40 years. Over 40 years. We are crap. And and if people don't believe that, we're bang average, or should I say, we're bang average. And it wouldn't surprise me if we lost to West Ham, mate.
See, I think we're going to beat West Ham because I agree with you. I think our fans are very deluded. But a lot of them just do it because they want to fit in with one another, and they've just got to be in this kind of bubble in order to get on with one another. No one can actually be a contrarian thinker and challenge the status quo. But that said, I think we'll beat West Ham because they're a bottom 10 team, and this is what Spurs do. Put us against a team in that bottom 10, and I think 9 times out of 10 we win. Plus we're at home. I think we do them. I think we do them. If we don't beat them, I think there's going to be a lot of heads beginning to turn if they haven't turned already, especially after that Brighton performance.
Well, how many players did Brighton have out? And we thought a lot of the Sava, yourself, all thought we was going to win. And I could just see the same thing happen at West Ham. They've got some decent players, some quick players. If they hit us on the break, like Brighton did, and our heads drop, as soon as we go down and you can see that ball rolling, we could be in trouble again.
I tell you why I predicted that we would win. I thought it was 3 reasons why I thought we'd beat Brighton. The first one was, if you look at the stats, our pressing game and our possession is actually better than Brighton's. It's close, though. We just edge it, which is why I said I think we beat them by 1 goal. I thought we'd just edge it. But what really swung it for me was when I found out that João Pedro was out, I thought we're going to win it. That's their best player. He's their star man. What I underestimated, though, and this is where I got it wrong, mostly got it wrong, I underestimated how good that Mitoma is. He's actually a top player. He's a top player, and he ripped us a new one. He single-handedly tore us to pieces, and that's exactly the player we need on the left wing. Not Werner, not Odobert, Mitoma.
Not Son anymore.
Yeah, and listen, I'll be honest with you. I never thought with Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Vicario, and Udogie in the back 5, I never thought we had a capitulation like that in us. Maybe a wobble, but not a capitulation. That was a complete capitulation. I mean, that was even by my harsh standards, that was some next level Spursiness. That was some special Spursiness right there. So, yeah, I mean, you could be right. Listen, you could be right, Mark. West Ham might do a number on us. I wouldn't write it off. I just don't think it will happen.
You said you just don't know which Spurs is going to turn up. You see, that's half the problem all this season. You never know which Spurs is going to turn up. Spurs always look like they're going to concede and give chances. It's whether the opposition can score from them chances. If they can score, we're in trouble.
And we will give chances. We give chances to everyone. At some point, we'll give away chances. We've given them away to every team that I think we've played this season. So I wouldn't be surprised if we give chances to West Ham. Look, I want to bring something up with you and see what you think. By the way, Tony, I can see in the background you're next after Mark. All right, so just hang out there. I want to bring something up that was sent to me. Tell me what you think. So this is basically the pressing stats of Tottenham against Brentford. Spurs is the navy blue. You can see round about 31, 45 minutes, we drop off. And then it's a gradual drop off from Spurs in terms of our pressing intensity. Against Manchester United, again, we're navy blue. Round about 31, 45 minutes, same as the previous game. There's a big drop-off before half-time, a little spike, and then a massive drop-off for the last 30 minutes. Almost a complete opposite of how we played for the rest of the game. Against Brighton, we're the brown line. From the 16th minute to the 45th was a huge drop-off. And then it steadily crept up from the 60th minute to the 90th and a spike. But there's this constant drop-off in our pressing intensity. Now, what I wanted to ask you is that correlates with this. Last season, the goals against us, most of them were scored in the second half. So this is last season, from the 45th minute to the 90 plus 5 minutes, you can see we conceded more goals. And this season, it's the same again. We're conceding more goals in the second half. So what I'm trying to say to you, Mark, is there's a direct correlation between our pressing intensity dropping off, especially in the second half, and then the amount of goals we concede in the second half as well. Do you think that this system is demanding too much from the players? Do you think our players are suffering from fatigue? And do you think Ange is mismanaging the rotation of players to stop this from happening? Or do you just think it's just some random data that we need to see it for another 10 games before we can actually look at that? What do you make of all of that? There's quite a lot there. You've got pressing intensity, goals against the second half, and how Ange manages it. What's your take on all of that?
Well, as I said before, I've been a fan of Tottenham for a long time. I've never known as many hamstrings go, especially young players, not necessarily the 30-year-old players who hamstrings go. A lot of young lads are now getting their hamstrings going. I think, as I said, he's tactically terrible, substitution inept. Anybody who re-signs Tino Werner and then keeps playing him, Romero's a shocker, doesn't bring him on to bring Draguskin on. Udogie has a shocker, doesn't take him off, put Spence on. Johnson, just come back a little bit and help Paro out. Nothing. The man just sits on the sideline and does nothing, and just a blank expression on his face. These are Ange's tactics. You can't press for 90 minutes. It doesn't work. Not even Barcelona can do it. Man City can't do it. You have to press in periods of the game, but not for 90 minutes, Del.
And what's happening is, when we're not pressing, that's when we look our most vulnerable, because now we're allowing the other team in. And because we don't drop deep, we're still high, we get caught out. And we've seen it happen time and time again. I remember I was at Old Trafford when we beat Man United, and look, we were the much better team. But they got in behind us 3-4 times in the first half. But Rashford was so terrible. Awful when he got in behind. And if that was Matoma, if that was Foden, if that was Saka, it's a different conversation.
Yeah, and their striker missed a gilt-edged chance, didn't he, as well?
Garnacho, he missed a chance,
And the other guys they've just signed, he missed a gilt-edged chance as Vicario saved.
Oh, Rasmus Højlund, yeah. Oh, no,
the other guy. Xerxes, yeah. This is what I mean. Giving up chances. I mean, the European nights, we've just gone. Carabao, the other one, absolutely gilt-edged chances, better teams. You're 4 or 5-0 down. It's just you cannot play this open. You can't. But we already saw this in the friendlies. Even against Hearts and some of the worst sides, we were far too open. We were giving Korean sides 5, 6, 7 chances in the game. We didn't even look that great in the friendlies.
Do you know what makes me laugh? We've got fans like Jason McGovern he'll be on the last one of Spurs talking to thousands of fans, telling them but he's entertained and he'd rather this attacking, entertaining football, whilst we're so wide open, so exposed, sitting 9th in the table because of it. And I just feel like when fans talk the way he does, it's such a loser mentality. It's such a loser way of thinking that, well, as long as I'm entertained. Who was entertained as a Spurs fan in the second half against Brighton? Who was entertained against Coventry? Who was entertained in the second half against Leicester City. Who was entertained for the last 30 minutes against Ferencváros? Is that entertaining? Like, is this entertaining?
No. Still, you're probably like me, old enough to remember another Spurs manager who tried this and it failed. Ozzy Ardiles. He played 4-2-4, right? And that was more entertaining than this, and that eventually got him sacked. We've seen this before. It doesn't work.
I'll tell you what. There's someone. I'm going to put it on the screen now. Someone called Ange this. Have a look at this. Ozzy Ardiles.
Here you are. Yeah. This is not me. Yeah, it's
Ozzy
true.
Ardiles.
It's true. A lot of the fans won't remember this, but this is how years ago Ozzy Ardiles set up. And yeah, Klinsmann and Sheringham. We played 4-2-4. We won games 4-3, but in the end we started to lose games, and he got sacked. And we brought in Jerry Francis to shore things up because he was better defensively. This is exactly what's going to happen with Ange. Eventually, this gung-ho football, this fanatical love will end, and all the haters you won't see for dust. You'll never hear them again. They'll never say, you were right, Stel, you were right, Sava. You know, you called it from the start. You'll never see them again. You'll never hear from them again either.
No. What they do is when we win, Ange Ball's the best. Trust the process. Levy's played a blinder. Ange, my manager. When we lose, it's a process. Rome wasn't built in a day. Things take time, patience, and it's almost like you bunch of flip-flopping, whichever way the wind goes, I go. Trying to keep your audience happy bollocks. Just say it for what it is. We don't defend very well when we are under pressure, or we invite teams on with our defensive tactics too often. And any team that's got a half decent forward line always punches us. We've seen it happen all the time.
Yeah. 400 million. 400 million on what? This is what makes me laugh, though, mate. If we'd have bought three quality players every summer and one or two in the winter, we'd be better off than we are now. More doesn't mean more quality. Buying 6 instead of 3 quality doesn't mean it's better. It just means more. Buy 3 quality in the summer, 1 or 2 in January.
Mate, I've been banging on about buying proven quality signings. I've been banging on about signing oven-ready players, but even the youngsters he signs, he doesn't bring him. He doesn't bring on Bergvall. He doesn't bring on Archie Gray. And you're thinking, well, why have we signed them? What I don't understand.
No, because with these youngsters, we bought young Session. We bought him. Oh, is this, that, and the other? Where's he gone? We ripped up his contract. This isn't the first time that we've bought in young players and it hasn't worked. That's not an instant fix either. 3 or 4 years. We've done this before. But what we haven't done is bought consistent quality over a number of years. We bought maybe 1 quality and then 4 or 5 average players, but Spurs has never bought consistent quality throughout the squad.
No, it's just a constant formula that repeats itself. That in the end it never works because we've never changed the formula of just signing proven, established talent to complement the young players we sign as well. But what's your prediction, Mark, for the weekend?
Still, when was the last time that we played well against West Ham and won?
I think it was the Carabao Cup. We beat them 2-1 a few years ago. I was at the game when Declan Rice was still there. I think it was under Mourinho or Conte? I think it might have been under Mourinho. I think it was under Mourinho.
That's what I mean. I can't.
Yeah, it's been a while. Mark, have you frozen or have I frozen? Guys, can someone in the chat tell me who's frozen? Is it me or is it Mark? Because I can't tell. Mark, you back? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think it's be a 2-2 draw.
Going for a score draw. Fair enough.
Good.
All right, Mark. Listen, I've got others to bring in, so thank you for coming on.
Still always a pleasure.
Feel free to come on. Listen, we're on every 2 weeks, so feel free to come on, have your say, and you've gone for a 2-2. All right, cool.
Thanks, Del, mate. You too, pal. Cheers.
Take care. Big up to Mark, who came on. There's a few people in the chat, one or two, I think, having a little moan and whatnot. I'll tell you what, rather than moaning, right, rather than having a whinge, how's about you do this? You click on the link and you come on the show. That's what it's for, so that you don't hide and moan. So you come on. It's also pinned to the top of the comments. If you go right to the top of the live comments, it's pinned at the top. Jump on, have your say. Right, I'm going to bring on Tony, and then after Tony, I've got the Spurs Dan list, and then Antonio. So let's bring on Tony. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Still. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right. You know, just waiting to see what happens on the weekend. I have no idea. I think Spurs will win, but I've been wrong many a time. So
yeah,
how about you?
Yeah,
how you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm well, mate. I'm well. Yeah, mate, don't know what's going to happen on the weekend. I'm leaning towards a win, but I wouldn't hold great confidence in getting over the line. But I think there's a win. I think there's a win there, but traditionally, I don't think we've played well against West Ham in the last, 3, 4, 5 years. So, look, I think it's a case of we'll just see what happens. I think I came on last time a couple of weeks back, and I asked you the question of how much time do you think we should give Ange? Is it a sort of prospect of week to week? Do we let him see out the season plus another season? Do we see out the process? Do we stick with him? Do we, do we call it now? What are the pros and cons of all that sorts of scenarios? I'm kind of leaning towards, despite the current faults, I think, we tend to have a history of just sacking managers when we're sort of either going through a bad patch or certain areas of their tactics aren't working, or certain statistics show that the tactics aren't working or the style's not working. But I'm kind of leaning towards just letting him play out the season, maybe give him a third season, but it does depend on the results. And Levy's the type of manager where if we're hovering around the relegation zone, it won't take much for him to basically pull the trigger. So I think that'll be if we're sitting in the top 10, I think he'll stick with him. If we start slipping outside the top 10, I think that'll be the trigger point to go, okay, I've seen enough here, and that'll be it. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
I think everything we do is financially driven, regardless of what they say to us about projects and youth and academy and processes and all this nonsense. If it looks like Ange isn't going to get Champions League, they'll start looking for another manager. If he doesn't get top 6, I think he's done, because you cannot spend £400 million under Daniel Levy and give a financial return of a European Conference League.
But that's the key, isn't it? Yeah, but that's the key, isn't it? Still, where you say, but that's the key, isn't it? Where you say 400 under Daniel Levy. If it was 400 under a Chelsea or a Man United, they'd be like, okay, we'll give you another 500 or 600 because we know it probably takes that much to actually, compete at the highest level. Whereas I think Daniel Levy for 400 million, whilst it's still a huge amount of money, and you've got to justify where the money's gone, how it's been spent, and who it's been spent on. 400 million in reality these days, is it a huge sum of money when you're paying anywhere between 50 to 100 mil for proven quality players, despite the fact we don't buy them? But that's another argument. But for any proven quality player, you're going to be paying 50 plus anywhere in the market, really.
Yeah, the problem is, it's not just that we've spent a ton of money. You kind of hit the nail on the head. We've wasted a ton of money. If you look at the players we've signed, Werner, absolute joke. Odegaard, one for the future. Bergvall, one for the future. Gray, one for the future. Well, you're you're signing players for the future, but you're telling the fans, I win trophies in my second season and I'm going to challenge for the title this season. Well, you're talking about now, but then you're signing for the future. You could say Solanke was for the now, but who's really excited by Solanke? No one's really in their heart of heart excited by him.
Yeah.
You know, you look at
But
his
you
other
can't go
signings,
shopping in the But if you're going to spend 65 million, you can't be shopping at Poundland. Like you can't, you have for 65, 70 million, you have to be shopping, elsewhere. For in reality, look, and I know he's British, and I'm not from the UK, but I basically listen to a lot of the sort of media and the talk around it all. But I understand that that there's an added sort of premium that's placed on British players. For what reason, I'm not too sure. I always thought that if you're going to pay 65 or 70 odd million, the actual quality of the player should override what their nationality is rather than where they come from.
The reason we call it English tax, the reason they cost a bit more is because you must meet a certain homegrown quota. So a certain percentage of the squad must be eligible to play for England. So knowing that, teams buy players that are English to meet that criteria. So clubs that know that put a price, a hike on the player because they know that every club needs English players. So ideally, you should be developing them from your academy good enough, and then you meet the quota that way. But that's asking a lot of any club. So and when you sell a player like Skip, you've now lost one, so you've got to replace it. So that's why there's a price hike.
Yeah, it's just I've been supporting Spurs for 20 years, and
where's Tony gone?
Oh,
Tony, you back? Oh, he's back.
Yeah, back. Sorry, mate. So as I was just saying that in the 20 years that I've been a Spurs supporter, I've never once seen the club go out and purchase 2-3 established players in their prime and pay the top dollar in terms of transfer fees, in terms of wages. Never once have I, in the 20 years, so you've been supporting Spurs a lot longer than I have, but I've never once seen it in my 20 years as a supporter. And that to me speaks volumes in terms of what the club's ambitions are, because the clubs that do want to win titles and trophies are prepared to pay that, are prepared to pay the wages and the transfer fees to do it. I understand that there's a business element where, you can't put the business or the club into any sort of financial difficulty if you've overspent or you overcapitalized on those values. But at the same time, to have not done it at all in the 20 years that I've supported them speaks volumes to me of the club's ambition. Like you just know that football's not their main priority in terms of running the club. It's just not. It's just an arm of the business in which is the public focus of the club. So they have to be seen to be doing things or putting in certain marketing ploys to seem as if they're going out and trying to secure these players, when in reality we all know that they're not going to get it. I mean, all these stories you hear in all the summers gone by, Spurs are interested in this, they're talking to this person, talking to that person. Nothing ever eventuates in terms of a signing. I've never seen it.
What annoys me is how fans just can't read between the lines and they think it's different, right? We've had, I think, 7 different football directors: Lange, Paratici, Camoli, Baldini, Arneson, Mitchell, and I'm missing one.
But he was probably the best one, wasn't he, Paul Mitchell?
Paul Mitchell was, Paratici wasn't too bad, but Mitchell was good. But we've had quite a few. And the same thing happens. And when we had Mitchell, we had Poch. When we had Hitchin, that's the other one. When we had Hitchin, we had Mourinho. When we had Paratici, it was Conte. Now we've got Lange, we've got Ange. So different football directors, different managers.
Different philosophies, different systems,
Well, here's the funny thing. No matter who the football director is, no matter who the manager is, whatever the budget is, 50 million, 100, 200 million, we always sign 6, 7, 8 players. And I say to myself, but isn't there one football director or one manager that comes in and says, can we spend the budget on 3 top players and that's it, please? Can we do that? That never, ever happens, which says to me...
But that's because he doesn't make the call on it.
Well, Tony, this is my point. There has to be a direct instruction that comes from above, because you can't tell me after 18 managers, 7 football directors, that's 25, is it? 26 different personnel of staff with authority for the football team. They all follow the same formula of quantity, not quality. That's bullshit, which says to me, you get the job under the remit, you got to spend it on as many as we can, right? That's how we do it.
Well, it's either.
I just feel this is why the whole thing stinks.
Yeah, well, it's either that or Spurs might be a club, and I don't know how other clubs operate, where they have a financial delegation hierarchy where only certain people have the authority to go and spend above a certain limit. So, for example, the director of football may only have a limit of up to, say, 20 million to spend on a player, or 30 or 40, whatever the number may be. Anything that's 30 or above has to go to Daniel Levy for approval, or I don't know whether there's that sort of financial delegation hierarchy or authority within Tottenham, or whether that's sort of common amongst other football clubs. Particularly that, because Tottenham's I don't know if Tottenham is, but I think ENIC are a publicly listed company. Am I right in saying that?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I thought they were. Let's just run with that theory if they are.
I think you're right, because when they released £150 million to be spent on-field and off-field activities, they had to announce it. So you're probably right. They had to announce it.
Yeah. So if that is the case, then ENIC's main driver for Tottenham is to generate profit for their shareholders. So they're not going to, prioritise winning a Carabao Cup or winning a FA Cup over qualifying for Champions League or trying to bring in other sorts of revenue. Their customers are the shareholders. It's not the Spurs fan, essentially, because shareholders, as we all know, all want to be seen to be increasing their profits year in, year out. And the only way to do that is to generate revenue and profit. So I don't know whether I'm accurate in saying that, but that's my sort of, thinking on it, or my linear thinking on it, to go, if ENIC is publicly listed, their main driver is making sure their shareholders see profit.
Someone in the chat saying they're a private limited company, but I'm sure there must be some kind of rule.
Okay.
They have to announce certain things publicly, because I do remember when we raised 150 million, they announced it publicly because they were legally obliged, because it affected their shareholders. So they had to announce it. So I do think, even if we're a private company, there are certain things, probably because of the size of the business, that they have to make public.
I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, I mean, at the end of the day, if they've got shareholders, the shareholders want to see profits more than trophies, essentially. They want to see their profits increase. If they get a trophy along the way, doing it the way they want to do it, well, it's a bonus, but I don't think it drives them to make the club successful. So, anyway, look, I mean, the common theme over the last 20 years has been the ownership. Despite all the managers that have been there, I think if we had a different ownership, I think we would have at least won, at least another trophy in that time. That the ownership's just not prepared to do what it takes to see success on the pitch, which is where the priority is for fans. But clearly, it's not the priority for them.
But do you agree?
To me, that's been proven.
Disagree? But do you agree or disagree that Ange is a facilitator of this?
Look, I think that he is, but at the same time, I'm going to criticise and defend him a little bit. But I think that he is. But at the same time, I don't think he's been given a choice. I mean, his choice is he cannot manage the football club, which is what essentially Conte ended up doing, to say, well, I'm not going to operate like this. That's not how I operate as a manager. You're all, terrible in the way that you run the football club. No one takes any accountability. No one wants to work under pressure. No one wants to spend the money to be successful. And I think when Conte came out and had that huge outburst, I actually, at the time, I go, you know what? Despite it not being in the right manner, he was 100% correct in what he was saying. It's just something that he probably should have said privately, and he may have, and not necessarily publicly. However, you can't dispute what he said was not right. It was absolutely correct what he said. And I think Ange, he is facilitating it. He's part of the machine, unfortunately. I don't think that changes the fact that he wants to be successful. I think he's still driven to be successful. It's just a matter of what tools he's given to be successful. And ultimately, you can debate his tactics and the way he approaches the game, and that's fair enough. There's points there that you can argue and go. There's certain things that he's doing that are working, certain things that he's doing that clearly aren't working, and I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. But is he prepared to come to that middle? We're not too sure. I watched an interview that he did with Mark Schwarzer, which was put up on Optus Sport, which is essentially our sort of Sky Sports, but we watch all the EPL
Yeah, that was
games.
the one I was talking about earlier.
I didn't hear you. I must have missed.
Yeah, he called the Premier League arrogant.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't so much that comment that really caught my eye. It was more so the comment about where he said that I don't want to be like everyone else. I want to do it my way. And I just like, okay, that's fine. That's admirable. But if your way's not working, then you have to look at a different way or slightly or tweak or adjust your way. Doesn't mean you move away from the principles from what you want to do and how you want to play. But you're not playing in Scotland. You're not playing in Japan. I think his system of pressing can be sustained for longer periods if he makes substitutions 10 or 15 minutes into the second half to maintain. If he brings on fresh legs, he can maintain the actual consistency of the pressing. You can't press for 90 minutes. You just cannot do it. It doesn't matter how physically fit you are. You cannot do it. It just does not work. Players will get tired. And there's moments in the games where players get caught out. They'll make mistakes. I think he's expecting his players to be perfect for 90 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
The issue of Ange is, right, and a lot of fans mix the two up. There's a difference between strategy and tactics. Strategy is essentially your philosophy. It's how you plan to win. And tactics are how you plan to deliver the strategy. Example, if you're a boxer, you might have the strategy of this opponent is really explosive. They come in guns blazing, punching. And after like 3-4 minutes, after 3-4 rounds, they're really tired. So my strategy is to tire you out. I'm going to play defense. I'm going to block you, and I'm going to wait. Once you're out of breath, then I'm going to unleash.
Pick your moments.
So, right. So your strategy is I'm going to win by tiring you out. How am I going to? What's the tactic? Play defense. 5th round, unleash.
Yeah.
Football. Ange's strategy is I'm going to keep possession of the ball, and I'm going to try and squeeze you high up the pitch. That's how I'm going to beat you, because if we've got the ball, you can't score. If we've got it, we can score. Right? How are you going to deliver that then? I'm going to play a 4-3, high press, high line. Okay. You were right. He doesn't need to change the strategy. The strategy is fine. It's the tactic that's wrong. The constant high line at every moment of every game. It's trying to play this press without dropping off, catch your breath, 10 minutes, go again.
Yeah.
It's the tactic that's wrong. And we spoke about on a lot of channels how both fullbacks were inverting. Okay, only one does it now, but that was part of the tactic. So I think Ange's strategy is correct. I agree with it. I'm on board. But his tactics, I just think he's, and judging by what he said in that video that you mentioned, he's too stubborn to change the tactics.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that'll be his downfall eventually. I mean, I don't want it to be, because I actually think his strategy will win trophies, but his tactics will get him the sack. So he's got to adjust it. Still, sorry to cut you off, mate. I've got to jump off. Got to get the kids ready. I'm in Australia, so I've got to get the kids ready for school. Listen, they're waiting for me.
You go. I've got others to bring on. Quick question: what's your prediction for Spurs West Ham?
I think it'll be a 3-1 Spurs, but I don't think it'll be an easy 3-1. I think they'll get chances, they'll score. But I think being at home, coming off the back of that Brighton loss, I think there'll be a sting in the tail. So 3-1's my prediction.
All right, 3-1 to Spurs. Tony, big up. Enjoy your school run.
Thank you, mate. See ya. Catch you, mate.
All right. Take care. Big up to Tony D, who came on the show all the way from Australia. Still haven't seen Charlie THFC. Chicken alert. Where is he? Where is the chicken? We're going to bring on Spurs analyst next, then Antonio Mitchell, and then 6-yard boxes in the background waiting to come on. So let's bring on Super Dan. How you doing, Super Dan?
How you doing, Stel, mate? How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Show's up and running. You're the 4th guest, I think. Or is it 3rd? 4th. Yeah, 4th.
Before I get going, big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to everyone watching. Hope everyone's well. Now, Stel, Spurs are the only club who managed to wind up the fans when they're not even playing. How is that? I could list a number of things which really have got to me the last 3 or 4 days. That Ange interview yesterday or whenever it was, that was just another big wind up there. I mean, Stel, I just don't know what to say anymore. Like, it's embarrassing, isn't it, how it's going on at the moment? Like, even talking about the Brighton game, well, I mean, we've talked to that to death. But look, man, we could say the Gascoigne thing, that weren't good. Amanda Staveley, does anyone believe that if she brings in any money, Levy's going to give her any control of the transfers? No, I don't think so. And then you've got that interview today. Nah, man, it's not good times. I'm struggling a bit still. I really am. And I'm sure a lot of Spurs fans are feeling the same way. Yeah, where's it all going to go? I don't know. What do you think, man?
I don't believe with the players he's signed, he can play this football for a whole season, especially when he's not using a lot of the players that he's signed. I think against the bottom 10, we'll beat them. I think against the weaker teams in Europe, we'll beat them. I think even some of the half-decent teams in Europe will beat them. But as soon as we play a top 10 side or we come up against a manager that's savvy, that's tactically got some nous about him, I think we get found out and Ange freezes, Ange doesn't adapt, and he just stands there watching us getting pumped. He stands there watching players like Dogi drown, Porro getting rinsed, Romero making mistakes, the midfield collapsing. He doesn't. You've got to adjust it, man. That's what in-game management is. As a manager, your job is to manage the game, right? Manage it. But he doesn't. He waits until we're 3-2 down and makes subs. He waits until Fer and Vakos are on the brink of scoring an equaliser before he makes some substitutions. And even the tactics at time, I'm sick of this high line with all that space behind that teams just rip us open with. It's just, there's a time and a place for it, but
it's like Stel,
really, do you think he's going to change? That's what it comes down to. If he changes, we've got a chance. But do you think he's going to change? Because I don't think he is, personally speaking.
Well, that video on the Optus Sport thing, I was hoping, when I started to watch it, I was hoping that maybe in the last couple of weeks he's had a look at himself in the mirror and thought, blimey, how did I let that all happen against Brighton? But no, he's still back in his own way of playing. It beggars belief, doesn't it, man? There's no hope for Ange. We have to be honest. Look, let me tell you how I'm feeling about it at the moment. I mean, I said on my channel, I'm not even looking at the table anymore. I've given up looking at the table. There's no point. We're too inconsistent. The only way I'm going to look at the table again is if we get 5 wins on the row, and I don't think that's going to happen. It's pointless. That league, we're not going to be going anywhere near Champions League spots. I think at a push, maybe 7th, we could rise up to at a push. So for me now, Stel, my focus is on the cups. We've got a big game coming up against City on the 30th of the month. And that's the only hope I've got for the season. Ange is not going to change. He said it. He keeps saying it. He's not going to change. So, look, we'll be floundering around mid-table, maybe push up to 7th, as I said. And we just have to pray that we have a good cup run. And you never know, miracles happen, hey?
Well, against Man City, I think whether Man City play a weak team or a strong team, we have to go full strength. If we go full strength against Man City's full strength team, you kind of fancy them to edge it, but you never know. You've got to give it a go. But if Man City come with a half-hearted team, we must go full strength because then we can beat them. We can if they've got a half-hearted team. if we go half-hearted as well, he's practically saying the Carabao Cup don't matter, or he's just stupid. The man's just daft.
Mhm.
So I think
Yep.
whatever happens against Man City, this is one game. Play your best 11 and knock them out, because that is something we can do. You know, Pep's saying he's not going to play a full strength squad. Look, there could be a few mind games, who knows? But let's say Pep does rotate quite a lot. It's game on. We can beat them, but don't start playing freaking Spences and Dragusins and Ben Davies and Pape Sars and Werners, because we're going to lose. We'll lose, man. You know, that team can just about beat Ferencváros. They can just about beat Ferencváros. I think Man City's B team's better than Ferencváros' A team.
Look, Stel, the thing is, I agree with you. Yeah, we should be beating an understrength Man City team. But like me and you and many other Spurs fans are getting predictions wrong. We all thought we would beat Brighton, didn't we? You know, we thought it's a perfect matchup, all the space, all the chances, and we should win. Yeah. And we got it wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And you cannot, it's even harder to predict now, because you just never know with Ange. You just never know. For example, I mean, like, Ange wants to blow teams away in the first half, isn't it? That's his plan, and that's what he tries to do. So all the energy is put into that first half, the pressing, trying to get 2-3 goals up. If that doesn't happen, then we're in trouble, because Ange hasn't got a clue. He doesn't know how to change it. Not every game we're going to get 2 or 3 goals up. And that's then when we're tested by other managers, other opposition, that, look, what we're going to do now? Now we're losing, or the other team are coming back. And then the players are knackered. They're knackered out because they've pressed so much in the first half. And we're not the most clinical. We know this. And it's just going to be rinse and repeat, I'm afraid, Stel. And we're just going to have to see how it all plays out.
What's interesting is, by the way, guys, in case you don't know, Dan's got a Spurs YouTube channel. The link's down below. Follow, subscribe. Let's get him to 100 subs. I've posted it in the chat as well. Make sure you follow Dan. He always talks sense. In fact, I'll be on his channel next week. I'll let you know about that when it comes to it. But before the season started, I made a big deal that we need to sign quality players. Otherwise, you can't go to the next level. But just as importantly, I said, last year we had no Europe and we crashed out of the Cups and we got 5th.
Yeah.
This season, we expect to do better in the Cups and we've got Europe, which means there's going to be a lot of rotation, less time to recuperate, less time to train, a lot more games. We need that squad. And after the transfer window, I said, we haven't sorted the squad out. And what this says to me is, as the season goes on, as these games come thick and fast, we're going to come unstuck. The reason we're 9th in the league table is for the exact reasons I've just explained to you, Dan. And I said this was going to happen. I said we're going to come unstuck. If he doesn't win a cup, this whole season's a waste of time and a waste of money on transfers, because there's a lot of games to be played this season and we've only just begun and we look shaky. So on the one hand, you might say, okay, we'll improve as the season goes on. Or, like you suggested, mate, we're just too inconsistent. This whole thing's going to unravel. There's no momentum because there's no consistency. So I don't know where that consistency comes from, because we haven't got the squad. The subs on the bench are crap because he's not bringing them on. If they're good, he surely brings them on, but he doesn't. He doesn't use them. He's not. He's just. He doesn't. And he doesn't. He never adapts either. So I don't understand what we've done as a club. It doesn't make sense to me at the moment.
And I put this question out to a lot of people, like, how are we going to beat this inconsistent form? Does anyone have an answer for it? And so far, no one's come up with an answer. I don't know, Stel, if you put that out as well on your show and other channels you've been on, nobody has an answer for it. They just say, trust the process, trust the process. Come on, man. Look, it's not happening. That Ange is not going to change. He said it again in that interview. He's refusing to change. And it's just I just don't know what else to say, Stel. It's so frustrating, so frustrating,
mate. I don't get it. I've banged my head against a drum about this, and I've tried to explain it. I've tried to put forward my case, and so far I'm being proven right. I hope I'm proven wrong, because I want us to win a trophy, but I don't see where the change comes from. because I don't think we've got the personnel. I don't think we've got the manager. But there is one thing I do want to ask you, Dan.
Yeah, sure.
Again, it's something that just doesn't make sense. We today announced that Jed Spence has signed a new contract until 2028. Now, this guy doesn't play for us. And when he does, it's a bit part role. He wasn't put in the Europa Cup squad. What is he thinking? And what are we thinking? Mate, please explain to me the Jed Spence situation, because when Porro doesn't play in Europe, we're having to play with Archie Gray because Spence wasn't good enough, but Archie Gray is. But yet everyone tells me Archie Gray's position isn't a right back. And then in the Carabao Cup, he gets some action, but the Carabao Cup's, a few games a season? In the league, he hardly features. He only comes on if we've got a major problem, like a Dogie going off injured against Man United. So what do you make of Spence signing a new contract, keeping him here for another 4 years?
Was he the only one that was announced today? I've got a feeling there was somebody else. Was it him?
The only other announcement was that we're looking to sign 18-year-old generational superstar wonder kid, next Messi, Mason Melia. that's the only other thing I've seen.
I didn't see that one. I don't know. I don't get that at all. Extending his contract. He's not getting a look in, is he? He's not getting a look in. It don't make sense. Another thing, I don't know if they've thrown that in there to keep us happy, but it definitely don't make sense. Surely nobody's kind of bigging that up at all. Has anybody still? Have you seen when they put that on X or wherever? Anybody happy about that? Because it's a nothing news, is it? This is nothing. It's just not. It's a desperate. The club's desperate to put any good news on there. They're struggling, aren't they? They're drowning. They're throwing out Jed Spence extension contracts.
Doesn't Jed Spence want to play regular starting football? Doesn't he want to? Yeah. Doesn't he want to cement a career? Is he scared that he won't get bigger than Spurs? So he's just decided to stay. Listen, even Winks and Skip recognised, I'm leaving, man. I need regular football. I need some regular football, and they're getting it now. They start a lot of games for Leicester City.
Oh, still, man, this just I don't know, man. I'm sorry, man. Like, it's taken a lot out of me. Like, I just disbelief. I don't know, man. Oh, it's terrible, and look, we got West Ham at the weekend. Derby. Hopefully we'll win that game, but we haven't got a good record against West Ham. I don't know if you know, but we've lost, I think, 4 out of the last 6 against them. So it's a tricky fixture. And unless we do blow them away in the first half, we're going to see the same thing again. West Ham have got a couple of good forwards. I like their manager. I know he hasn't started well. But yeah, he's going to have a plan, isn't he, against Ange? It's not difficult, is it? Any manager to have a plan to play Spurs. And we'll see. We'll see on Saturday lunchtime.
I don't know, man. Lopetelli's not been that good for me this season. I've not been impressed by him at all.
He's won things though, right, Stel? He's won things though, Lopetelli, isn't he? I'm sure he's got a history of winning.
So's Ange.
Yeah.
Technically speaking.
What's your prediction? I reckon we'll nick it 2-1. 2-1 probably. But we could lose. You just never know. Last season, West Ham beat us. We played fairly well, but we made 2 errors at the back, and they beat us. And another thing, Stel, before I jump off, is those noticing those errors are creeping back in, aren't they, Stel? The errors in the defending.
When a team puts pressure on us, that's what happens, and we invite the pressure on, which is my problem. So, I'm not convinced that we're coached to defend as a unit, and we're coached to defend well. I don't think our defenders have improved. I thought Porro had improved, but this season he's showing to me that actually he hasn't actually improved. Adogie's been suspect since we signed him. He had that nice little purple patch, but he's been suspect since we signed him. I don't know what's going on there. I think it's down to coaching. I think we need a manager that can actually develop the individuals and take them, because we've got a lot of Van de Ven's young, Porro's young, Adogie's young. They need nurturing. Like, if Poch was here, we'd have a mustard defence, in my view. I think we'd have a really good defence. But then again, they're exposed so often, it's hard to tell. But listen, Dan.
And especially against the better teams as well. Especially against the better teams.
Oh, that's when we come unstuck. they're the teams that rip us. Dan, listen, I'm going to wish you well because I've got quite a few waiting backstage. Guys in the chat, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's down there. Follow Dan and Nige. Is it Nige you work with?
Yeah, Nige Purecois. Yeah, we do a show on a Tuesday, 7:30. So yeah, come and check us out. Yeah, it's good fun. So yeah, hope to see you guys there. And big up, Stelman. Thank you for having me on. Big up to the chat. And yeah, hope everyone has enjoys the rest of the show and has a good evening. Take care.
Big up to Dan. Thanks for coming on, bro.
See you later.
Check out the Spurs Dan list. Take care, my man. Sorry, guys. I managed to kick myself out of my own show. Let's bring on Antonio. How you doing, man? You all right?
Hey, Stella, what's good? I'm all right, man.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Caribbean, Trinidad.
Oh my God, man! You're in paradise. You're in paradise.
You would think so. People would think so.
Why
it's hard to say. It's hard to say that when you're supporting a team like Spurs, right? It's hard to say that.
I hear you. I hear you. How you doing anyway? You good?
Yeah, I'm good because in the Caribbean, most of the football supporters here are the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, the Man Uniteds, and stuff like that. They are the majority of supporters here. And then when you have like the few guys that are like they look at you and they're like, Spurs, man, really? I'm like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Why? So why do you support Spurs then? Why are you different? What was the reason behind it?
Poch, Kane, Son, that the best team we had. Trippier. That's when I started supporting Spurs. Son in his prime. I mean, Kane in his prime. I mean, the football was just amazing to watch. It was just amazing. And I was there for a while. I lived in Edmonton for like 2 years. So.
All right, it's just down the road from Tottenham.
Just down the road, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's rough.
What, Edmonton or Tottenham or both?
I would say Tottenham. Tough. Tottenham is tough.
So, is there anything in particular you wanted to talk about? You know, what made you wanted to come on and speak?
Everything that you all said was true. I mean, the transfer window was abysmal. I think that's the problem that we had was the transfer window. Like, I don't see, like, when we're talking about Ange's type, like Ange ball, I don't think Ange ball itself was the problem. I think it was the players that we signed cannot play the football that he wants to play. That highline football that like City plays, like the ability to retain the ball and turn chances into goals, we're missing that. I mean, as you said, the only player we signed that hit the ground running was Solanke. Everybody else was kids, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody else was kids.
Antonio, why do you think Ange doesn't play Bergvall and Archie Gray in the Premier League enough? What's your thinking behind it? Because if they're not ready, then how can you talk about winning trophies now? Because you haven't bought players for now. But if they're for the future, but if they're in the team now on the bench, surely they should be ready. Otherwise, why are they on the bench?
I think you see it when we play certain games in the Europa League. Like, you know, like he will start them. He'll give them the chance, and then you would see sometimes we go 2-0 down, and he has to he has to rescue the game. He has to bring on the big guns. He has to bring on the Madison. He has to bring on the Kulozeskis and stuff like that to essentially rescue the game. So these guys are not getting any rest at all. You know, that's just the issue. So when I don't know in the when it's in Premier League, like he just plays the big guns. But when we meet smaller teams, you give the younger kids a chance. You give Gray a chance. You give Bergvall a chance. But you see how we struggle to beat even smaller teams in Europa League. You see it. You see it. So it's like, what are we going to do? We already signed these guys. The windows are closed. So, but I think what we were supposed to do, what Hotspur said, is that we should have brought in more players for now, and younger players send them out on loan. Send them out on loan.
This is a big debate we had the last couple of Mondays, the shows that we do, where we were. Some of us were saying keep them now, play them now. Some of us were saying no, they've got to go on loan. What's the point? How are they going to develop? Because they're not getting enough regular minutes. Because to develop, you've got to play football. If you're not playing football, how are you developing? Training is training. It doesn't develop you like a game. The game is where you get elbowed, where you get pushed, where the other team want to beat you, where the referee's decisions can influence your mindset and how you think about what to do next. And that's the real game. You've got 60,000 people screaming and shouting, and our young players aren't being exposed to that enough in the Premier League at the moment. So, listen, it was a big debate. And do you think these players will play more as the season goes on, or do you think kind of they're just going to keep warming the bench?
I think they will. I think sometimes we might not have a choice, because sometimes because we're playing our senior players so much, like Kulusevski's playing international football, he's playing Nations League, he's playing Euros. Like there's gonna come a point where, I mean, look at Son. Like your hamstring could only take so much, right? Now we can't use Son, and we have to depend on Werner. You know. So this is the issue. Like, this is why we should have brought in players that could hit the ground running now, so that we can properly rotate the team so everybody's rested. But when you rotate the team with these younger players that are inexperienced, what happens is that you lose games, and then you still have no choice but to bring on Kulusevski and Madison. So we're back to the same issue, where we can't rest the senior players. We can't. So we're in a rock on a very, very, very hard place. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think Ange's tactics need to be adjusted for certain games, or do you think he's right to stick to this exact way of always playing it the exact same way with the same formation every single game?
No, I think against certain teams he has to tweak those tactics, because the style of football that Ange plays, there's certain players that are critical in that style of football. You need your wingers to be very clinical. They need to put away the chances that they create. And we needed, I think the most important player that we didn't sign was a monster number 6. Somebody that can cover for Van der Ven and Romero. We didn't get that. We're playing Basuma in that 6th position, and we're playing Bentancur in that 6th position. But they aren't 6s, they're 8s, they're box-to-box midfielders. So what their instinct is to take the ball and carry it forward. But we need a number 6, a defensive-minded number 6 that's going to say, here, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to provide cover for Van der Ven and Romero. Our center halves are too exposed because we're inverting the fullbacks. So we're using all our resources to attack, and we're defending with 2 guys.
Well, this again is where fans are divided. and they say it's a process, it takes time, and that Rome wasn't built in a day. Whereas I say, what's that got to do with the manager adapting to a game where clearly the tactics don't work? You know,
Correct.
what scared me was when Ange was asked before the Brighton game, Brighton play a similar style, similar tactics to you. What are you going to do, Ange, to control the game? He said, we're not going to change anything. Let's play open. Let's entertain the fans. And I thought to myself,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Brother. I was like, brother, there's a game that needs to be won here.
True. We're trying to win. We're trying to win this game. True.
You've got 1,500, 2,000 fans that have travelled from North London all the way to the South Coast to watch the team lose. No, they're here to watch us win.
Correct.
So,
correct.
I don't know with Ange. What do you make of Mikey Moore? Do you think he needs to start ahead of Werner? Because some fans
that shouldn't even be a that shouldn't even be a question. That shouldn't
just
even
speak.
be a question.
You just
oh my God.
You have your say.
I mean, when you look at Werner, like Werner has all the qualities to be a great footballer. He has the speed, but I mean that those one-on-one chances that Werner gets, oh my God, take him off. Those sitters that Werner, and for Werner's entire career, even at Chelsea, Werner gets into the most, because he's so quick, he gets into all the most dangerous positions, but he just can't. I don't know if it's nerves, but he just cannot put it away. He just can't. But we can't depend on Werner to win us a semis or a finals. We can't. We need someone who could put away sitters, who gets into those chances and is composed enough to put away those chances. And Werner's just not that guy.
Why do you think we signed him?
I think the tactic that Postecoglou's using is, you see a similarity with a lot of all the players that he signs. This is why I'm starting to think that, we blame Levy, but there's a similarity with all the players that Postecoglou signs. They're fast. Brennan, fast. Werner, fast. Van der Ven, fast. They're all speed. That's what Postecoglou is about, speed and pressing. But then you can't score goals. What is all that speed gonna do for you if you just can't score goals? Werner's really fast, but he can't score.
We do seem to like a sprinter. We do like a runner.
Yeah, that's all majority of Ange signings. They're all similar in that way. They're fast. They're really, really fast. We were talking about Brennan when he was at Forest at one time, that he clocked so much speed or something like that, and then that is what catches Postecoglou's attention, when a player is fast, and he believes that he can take a player and turn them world class. And as we can see, he tried to do it with Werner, and it's not working. Werner is just, I don't know. I think Werner, because of his age, I don't know if I don't think a manager could coach Werner into being world class. He's reached his ceiling. He's just not playable right now.
World class. Just make him good, man. I think Werner's one of the worst signings that Spurs have ever made. I think he's a terrible football player. I can't. I'm so angry he's at Tottenham. It's such an embarrassing signing. Every other fan base is laughing at us. Every fan base is laughing at us because of him. And the only people that aren't laughing are Spurs fans who think, actually, yeah, good bit of business, makes sense. It's this guy.
It's not because we're paying Werner's salary, so it can be a good bit of business because we're paying his salary, even though we got him on a free. I don't know.
Well, that's the bit they think is good. That's the bit they think is good.
No, we're paying a salary, so it can't be. We should have taken that money that we're paying, and I think Werner's on a lot. If I'm not mistaken, he's on a lot. He's on a big salary, so we should have taken that money, right, and invested in a quality winger, left winger that can put away chances. You know, everybody was talking about they tied us to Eze for so long, and Eze never came. So I don't know.
We didn't sign any of the players that the journalists and the other YouTube channels all spoke
Tied
about.
us
We didn't
to,
sign
yeah,
Eze.
right.
We didn't sign Elise. We didn't sign Neto. We didn't sign Ivan Toney. We didn't sign Paulinho. None of the players that people spoke about, oh, we're going to sign him. It's a done deal. It's just a matter of time.
Good.
You know, we didn't get any of them. But and then people wonder why we're ninth. It's because the transfer window was so bad, and this manager.
It was.
This manager says, I wanted them. I wanted these players. It's on me. I've been backed. It's like, oh, Jesus, man. You're digging a hole.
But maybe he did want those players, and you can see the quality in Bergvall for his age. You can see it. You can see the hunger in the kids' eyes when they come on and they want to play. But we're in the Europa League, you know, the high level of football that soon, if we reach to the later stages of the Europa, we're going to be playing harder and harder teams, and that level is above Bergvall and Archie Gray. It's above them, so we can't depend on them. Hence the reason why we said they need to go out on loan. Archie Gray should have stayed with Leeds. Okay, you bought him. Let him stay with Leeds. Let him where he's comfortable. Let him continue playing and let him, you know, improve. And then when he give him a year, give him 2 years, and then bring him to the club. Same thing with Bergvall.
Do you know what makes me laugh, Antonio?
Yeah.
I was having an argument with someone over this, exactly what you said. And I said to them, look at Arsenal. They sent Saliba on loan for 2 years. He's come back. Look at him. Because Saliba's playing regular minutes every game, every week. He's progressing. He's developing. And then someone goes to me, when has loaning out players ever worked for us? When does it ever work for Tottenham? That was their argument. And I said, there's this player who we loaned out for 2 years. You might have heard of his name, Harry Kane.
Correct.
How did that work out? Became the best striker in the world.
Correct.
It's like, stop the excuses, Spurs fans. Stop the bullshit. Stop lying to yourselves. If Archie Gray and Bergvall aren't going to play regular minutes, send them on loan, let them develop. Correct. When they're ready, come back. If we're going to play them regularly, then keep them. I get it. But we're not. We're not playing them in the league. They're not getting Premier League action.
Correct. But I would say if you bought them and you wanted them, put your money where your mouth is. Play them. If Archie Gray was the only 6 we signed, play him. Put your money where your mouth is. Play him. If we lose, we lose. But stand by your decision. You said that you wanted these players. Play Archie Gray. We need a monster number 6 player.
And the thing is, right? If we do play them, then we can see for ourselves what they're about. Let us decide as fans what we think as well. Because at the moment, the truth is, we don't know if they're good or not. I have no idea if they're good or not.
True.
I was bigging up Bergvall pre-season. I thought he looked really good, but I did say it was pre-season. But I said, I think this guy needs to play because he looks like there's something about him. I like what I see. And I said that Archie Gray, I'm not convinced. I don't think he's ready.
Sure.
Bergvall hardly plays. And the times Bergvall has come on, I haven't been impressed, man. I've been a bit disappointed, if I'm honest with you. But he's only played a few half moments. So, you know, I can't judge them. I can't judge these youngsters. Where's he gone? He's left me by myself. There he is. He's back.
That red card, yeah. We got that red card from
you disappeared, by the way. Just so you know.
Can you see me? Yeah.
Yeah, you're back. You're back now. You're back now, yeah.
You know,
You-
we
You
got
might have
a
to
red
start
card.
again with what you were saying. Start again with what you were saying because we missed part of it because you disappeared.
No, I was agreeing with you when you spoke about Bergvall, because you know that Europa game when Dracusen got that red card and he came off and the camera looked at Bergvall. You know, you saw him in tears. But
Yeah.
that's the type of hunger we need from players, and we getting it from a kid. That's the type of hunger we need. They you know, you're so hungry to come on and prove yourself. We not, you know, that's how we lost that game against Brighton. That's how we lost. Destiny, I think Adogi is a great player. You know, we might say he makes defensive mistakes and stuff like that. But the reason why Destiny makes those mistakes is because Destiny got cocky. He got a call up with Italy. You know, he's on top of the world. And you can see it you saw it in the first half because my favorite players are defenders, right? I love Maldini, I love Nesta, I love Saliba. So I look at that art of defending, and you can see in that first half with Destiny, he was playing like a pretty boy. Like, nobody can pass me. He wasn't committing to tackles, you know. You can see it. He's like, we have this bag in the game. I don't need to defend. You saw it on his face. And it came back to bite us in the ass. And I'm sure that the Brighton manager at halftime told the players exactly that, told Welbeck and them exactly that. Spurs are cocky today. Punish them for it. And that's exactly what we were cocky. And Brighton came out in that second half with so much aggression that Romero and Dracusen and these guys still confused probably to this day that they it's like they couldn't believe that Brighton came out in that second half and just punished us the way they did.
Slapped us up.
They slapped us up and we still confused. But we got so cocky. We got so cocky on that day, and it bit us in the ass. You know, so it's like we need to, as you said, we need to the back line needs to be coached. They need to be.
I agree.
They need to be coached. They need to be coached. They need to work as a unit, but it's hard when you have Destiny and Poro attacking, and you have two center halves defending. It's very hard.
Antonio, let me ask you one last question because I've got to bring on another guest in the back.
Yeah, no problem.
Spurs West Ham, what's your prediction?
I don't know.
That's what I said. I think we'll win though, actually. But I'm not convinced.
I'm not saying anything because we said that against Brighton, and Brighton came and slapped us. I know. Slapped us hard. I'm still trying to recover from that game.
What's your gut tell you?
I don't know.
Listen, if you don't know, just go with the draw. Just play it.
All right. I'll go with a draw. I'll probably say
go with the draw.
I'll probably say 2-2.
Someone else said 2-2 as well. Someone else said 2-2, so
I'll probably
that's probably about right.
Yeah. I'll probably say that.
Antonio, send our love to all the Trinidad Spurs fans if there's any more out there as well, man. Send that love.
There are a couple of us, but we're in the minority. But there are a couple of us.
Get them on. Every 2 weeks I do the show. Come, make sure you're back on and bring them as well. I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, that's my job. My job is to, reach out to all the Spurs fans, not just in Trinidad, but in the Caribbean as well, because there are a couple.
Okay.
So that's my job, is to get a hold and in touch of all of them and kind of unite them and stuff like that. Get a big group going
and feel the pain together.
And feel the pain together. Exactly.
All right, listen, brother. Thank you for coming on, man. Respect.
Yeah, man. No problem. All right, so take care, man.
Take care. All right, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Yeah, Thank you. Big up to Antonio, all the way from Trinidad. What a legend. All right, next coming on, we've got. By the way, guys, smash the like button, hit the like, help the channel, help yourselves, help everyone. Let's bring on what name this is. The psycho teacher. I hope he's not actually a psycho, or she. I can't see from here. Let me have a look. Ah,
It's been a pleasure, sir.
how you doing, psycho?
How are you, sir? Yes. Feeling good, yes. Been an honor to be on your channel. Been watching it for so long, yeah.
It says Brazil at Spurs. So I'm guessing you're calling from Brazil.
Indeed, my father was Japanese. I was born in Brazil, and I became a Tottenham supporter when I lived in Tokyo, when I had a British flatmate, indeed. He convinced me to become a Tottenham supporter, believe it or not, and I swell it.
So you're half Brazilian, half Japanese, and the reason you support Spurs is because when you lived in Tokyo, your flatmate was a Spurs fan.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a mix, isn't it?
That's crazy. That's a good story.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
my Lord.
And since that was the year of 1996, I'm much older than I look like, indeed. And so since 1996, I've become a Tottenham supporter. I'm still there, sir.
Well, listen. Welcome to the pain. Welcome to the crazy house that is Tottenham. Listen, thank you for coming on.
My written message, I quite realistic about life in general. It's not different from this beloved British club, which I love very much. You know what I mean?
Listen, that's good. I'm glad to hear it, man. I want to know. I want to know why you wanted to come on, though. This is what I want to know, why you wanted to come on the show. What is it you wanted to say?
I want to say, as a Brazilian, everyone, I believe the British people also, everyone in the world, expects to have, high quality Brazilian players, as you have always used it to see watching on telly, World Cups, whatsoever. And I've noticed all Brazilian players who have played for Spurs so far, they are not the really high level. Even my mates, locally here in Porto Alegre, Brazil, where I live in, they mock me sometimes, because look at the players Spurs, Brazilian players Spurs are signing, mate, are not the real Brazilian players we expect to see, you know what I mean? That's quite frustrating to me, indeed.
I mean, Lucas Moura got us to a Champions League final, so he's a mini legend at Spurs. I thought Lucas was quite good. I think Richarlison's rubbish. If I'm honest, I think he's a rubbish player. I'm not happy we've got him. But let me ask you, in terms of Brazilian players, Brazil hasn't been good for me for 20 years. For a long time, Brazil's fallen off, right? So who are the good Brazilian players now? Who are the good ones?
Well, for instance, I can give you the example of that guy, which Manchester City has signed. Forgot his name, by the way. He's a very young Brazilian lad. Chavinho, something.
Savio.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a very good player. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I'll give you that one. He's a very good player.
Instead of all the wingers we have, signed this year, this season. It would be amazing.
But what you talk about Brazilian players at Spurs. What Brazilian players would you like Spurs to sign? Who can we sign that's good?
Indeed, we've got many young players in Brazil. Both Argentina and Brazil are, places where there are lots of young players, and I think, the size, the structure of Tottenham Hotspur would be able to have, some people around Argentina and Brazil mainly,
Yes, scouts.
And, good scouts, exactly.
But you look at Martinelli. You look at Martinelli, who's at Arsenal, and he's not having a good season. He was average last season. Is he at the level?
Yeah. The level of Brazilian players, as you said, over the past 2 decades, you are completely right. Realistically speaking, have decreased quite a lot, unfortunately. Yeah. But it's still
what do you
not Richarlison's, and Lucas Moura. I know you liked him, but still he was a kind of a one-off. player, you know, that no semi-final, absolutely amazing. I couldn't stop yelling, you know, when that semi-final took place. Yes, yes, but still, you know, not that really good one you expected.
Yeah, he's inconsistent, right? He's one good game, one bad game, one good game, one bad game. And I hear you. What do you think of Tottenham at the moment with Ange Postecoglou? What's your thinking about the team? Are you happy? Are you unhappy? Do you think we're doing good? Do you think we're doing bad? Do you think it's average? What's
I don't
your
know if you've noticed one of my written messages was, you know, it's a Salvador Dali's style of football, quite surreal, you know, and surreal in a way, you know, playing that style of football at Premier League. Oh my God, maybe if you played in our local league, you know, at the moment, which is really bad, maybe he would win a trophy, but, you know, at Premier League, Jesus, that's impossible, mate, you know, I think.
So you're not impressed. You think
Oh,
it's not a good
completely
idea.
correct. Mate. No, it's ugly to see it. I don't see entertainment in it. You know, I see that's an entertainment for the opponents, indeed, not for us, because entertaining, losing is not the best way of, you know, having fun.
Yeah, I think attacking wise, there's something about us. I think we've got something there. But I think controlling the midfield when the game begins to get difficult and defending, I think we've got problems. And I think it's the way the manager sets us up that is creating the problems. That's how I feel. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And, you know, adding to it, mate, we've got, you know, all the last victories, wins against very, you know, weak opponents, very weak teams, weak sides, or that sides as well, you know. So it doesn't give us, you know, any confidence that next match we might, you know, beat a big six club, indeed. So that's bad. When you think of, you know, the big six clubs, is always something shaking, unfortunately. It's not something confident. As the last time I felt some confidence playing against, you know, a big six club was in the times of the Argentinian Mauricio Pochettino, you know what I mean?
Do you so when you say you're not confident, right? Are you confident in the players that Ange has signed? Bergvall, Gray, Solanke, Werners. Are you confident in the signings?
The signs are kind of surreal in my point of view, indeed, you know, because Jesus Christ, you cannot beat, you know, the big six clubs with those players. You know, I think it's quite scientifically impossible, in my view, indeed. You know,
Scientifically impossible.
you see, you know, with your wide open eyes, you know, the big five ones. And you look at these players, you have just mentioned the names, the signs of Ange Postecoglou. My God, mate, you know, it's
Yeah.
quite scary indeed. Any confidence doesn't give you any confidence, any, you know, pleasure to be sure that next match will, you know, be competitive. Indeed, you know, you start these games against big ones quite shaking indeed.
Let me ask you something. By the way, what's your
Please,
real name? I don't want to call you Psycho. What's your real name?
excuse me.
Your name. What's your name?
My name is Marcos Pereira Shimada. Pereira is a Portuguese name. Shimada is the Japanese name.
Okay, can I call you Marcus?
Please, sir. Pleasure.
Okay. So Marcus, if Spurs was to maybe not play so sexy football or not so entertaining, but we won the game, would you accept that as a fan, or must it be entertaining all the time?
As much as I don't follow the national Brazilian squad, it still is a squad with lots of trophies. You know what I mean? And winning trophies is a way to have your name over there, you know, forever, to be remembered forever. And in a decade, in 10 years' time, we won't fucking, remember how beautifully we have played, you know, indeed. we remember the trophies we have won, and we have indeed, as a Tottenham supporter, I've seen only one trophy live. It was the 2008 trophy live on telly, here in Brazil, because I've been supporting Tottenham since 1996. You know what I mean? I don't know if I have answered your question properly, sir.
No. You basically are saying trophies is the most important thing because that's what we remember. That's what the history will remember, who won the trophies. I agree with you. I think most teams that win trophies play enough good football during the season to win a trophy. But if we spent 50% of the season playing a bit ugly but winning, and 50% of the season playing good football and winning, I'm happy with the season. I'm happy with it. And I think most teams that win trophies, they play enough good football to keep everyone happy and excited.
Absolutely. Yes. You must keep on the feeling. Yes. It was something we felt. I don't know about you, sir, but something I felt in the times of Pochettino, actually. And even there were some times with Redknapp as well. But since then, I haven't felt the same confidence, even though with Antonio Conte, even in the beginning of Antonio Conte, perhaps, but quite short time. I liked indeed about Antonio Conte was his last interview at Tottenham Hotspur. I think it was quite straightforward and realistic indeed.
So who was your favorite manager at Tottenham? Was it Pochettino?
Yeah, since 1996, yeah, for sure, Pochettino. Exactly. Like the style of the guy, quite consistent defensively. You know what I mean? Amazing, that defense system. And at the same time, we had no midfield. I miss a midfield with confidence. We can control the ball, you know what I mean? We haven't controlled this ball for quite a while, actually. He's always in a rush. He's always in a hurry, It's crazy, man. I don't know what they are in a hurry for. Perhaps the players have to, stop by the supermarket, for some goods before going home for their wives.
Brilliant. So yeah, do you know some fans think that Harry Redknapp was better than Poch. They preferred that team. For me, Poch was my favourite. Then number 2 was Harry Redknapp's team. I thought that was quite good. Let me ask you, Marcus, with Tottenham at the moment, do you think as the season goes on, we will improve? Or do you think as the season goes on, it's going to be what we're seeing now? Up, down, up, down.
I don't think we will have won many games by the end of the season, unfortunately, especially against the big ones. Because the way the interviews our manager, what he says during the interviews, his statements, what he claims, the way he thinks, and he seems a bit. I must be careful my English now. How can I label it? But he seems quite. He doesn't want to change at all. It doesn't matter what happens around. He is the boss and he's the king of the tactics, and that's the way it is. That's what we are made. What those things he says, that scares me a bit, especially in such competitive league as the Premier League is.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like this all season, especially when we've got more games coming up, more European games, more cup competitions, some injuries, and then we have to, we're forced to rotate. It's not optional. Then I think things become difficult. Do you feel that Ange is going to survive this season and the club will stick with him no matter how it goes? Even if we get 10th, 11th in the league, they're going to stick with him because there's a project? Or do you think there's a certain limit if Ange drops below that they're going to sack him like they've sacked all the managers before?
No, first of all, I think there is kind of an embarrassment between the manager and the board, talking about Mr. Levy, right? Because after you've been investing so much money and firing the guy such a short term, it will be quite an embarrassment for Levy as much. So I think as he's full of vanity, in his soul, our president, our CEO, is full of vanity in his soul. Though I think it might be hard to see the guy, getting rid of Ange Postecoglou. Unfortunately, because I wish we could have a chance to see someone new, in that position. Indeed. Actually, I quite like the manager which the FA has chosen for the British national squad, the England national squad. Indeed, the German guy.
The manager Thomas Tuchel is the one you're talking about. A lot of Spurs fans said that he was going to be the next manager after Ange if it didn't work. Well, that's not going to happen now because he's taken the England job. So if it's a big if Ange does go, it'll be interesting to see who Spurs do get in, because I've got a bad feeling it's going to be Ryan Mason. If it was Ryan Mason, are you confident?
Oh, yeah, that's depressing, mate. No, that's quite depressing. Yeah, that was going to tell it can be anyone but this guy, mate, because he's got so many chances. So I'd rather they pick me up for the position than Ryan Mason. I've got better ideas for that pitch. Jesus Christ, don't like the guy.
I mean, I'm dreading it if that happens. We're playing West Ham this weekend. West Ham's not a top 10 team. They're bottom 10. They're not far off us, but they haven't had a good start to the season. What do you think is going to happen in the game? What's your score prediction?
Well, I've got in my mind, they have beaten us, quite often recently, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year was a draw, and that what happened.
But what do you think? What do you think is going to happen this season?
Well, on Saturday, right? Mate, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't feel confident. And at the same time, I can see Tottenham is stronger than West Ham. As your mate, Mr. Sava, always says, we are supposed to beat West Ham for obvious reasons, but we have been supposed to have beaten many other teams for other obvious reasons, and we haven't, So that scares me a bit, indeed. And even the performance against against some low, technically speaking, teams were quite scary and ugly and difficult to watch. Not entertaining at all.
If you had to predict the score, what's your score prediction?
2-2.
2-2.
Yeah. A draw.
Three people have come on tonight, and they've all said it's going to be 2-2. You're the third one. That's been it's been the most popular prediction. I said we're going to win 3 or 4-1. Someone said 5-3. Someone said 2-1. But everyone else has said 2-2. 2-2 has been the most popular prediction so far.
Remember the times, when we asked, fans of the predictions of, Pochettino's, previous games, and there was a kind of, confidence in the opinions, and nowadays you don't have it any longer, right?
That's true. When Poch was manager, we thought we were going to win every game. I know. How times have changed.
Fantastic. And do you think is there any chance in the universe Mauricio Pochettino could resume his job at Tottenham?
I don't think he's ever going to come back when Daniel Levy is the manager. When Daniel Levy's the manager, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Marcus, before you go, because I've got one more person to bring in, there's a private chat. If you can see the tab, it says private chat. Could you go in there?
And next to the comments, because I've got my stuff in Portuguese. Sorry, so you say in English and I read in Portuguese. You say private chat, okay?
can you go in there and leave your telephone number with your international code in there? I want to contact you after the show. That's okay.
It will be an immense pleasure, sir. Such a pleasure, and I thank you very much to have received me in your channel, because there are many channels, many sports channels, and some of them I think they are crazy, mate. I don't know what game they watch, man. I think they hate. I think these guys hate Tottenham so much. They are kind of spy in disguise, and they want to destroy the club because they praise ugly, terrible football performances and especially results. I'm sorry, my words, sir. Forgive me.
I can't handle them. I can't handle any of them. They're so deluded. But everyone's allowed their opinion according to the free world. So, Marcus, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. Thank you so much for coming on. You're our first ever Brazilian Japanese Spurs fan to come on. So,
so honored. Arigato. Thank you very much. Obrigado. Thank you very much, sir. Cheers.
Don't forget to leave your telephone number.
Absolutely, sir. Thanks a lot.
Ciao. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Bye. I tell you what. That's got to be one of the most respectful people that's ever called in. Honestly, that's Japanese culture right there. So respectful, man. Like top guy. I hope he comes back on again, man. He was brilliant. Alrighty, let's bring on the next person. We've got at Sad World with a Swedish flag. I don't know who this is. I've got no idea. We're gonna find out. But welcome to the show. Oh, Alex,
yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Big up still. I've watched the show for, I think it's well over 2 years now. So I've been around quite some time.
Good,
but
man.
I didn't really come to bring a debate. It was more about a game I watched yesterday, and it could be connected to the club, etc. But the Argentina game, the 6-0 game against Bolivia. I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched a game that not got me emotional, but it was a beautiful game to watch. It was just from start to finish, like the way Messi carried that game, and just watching Argentina as a team, I made a connection to how we are as a club with Ange and the way he plays. Like any successful football team and the way they play, when they attack, like everyone attacks, When they defend, everyone defends. And that's the beauty of football, being a team and like everyone literally putting their bodies on the line for each other. And I just feel like with us, I feel like we have one out of those two elements at place, and that is the attack. When we attack, pretty much everyone pretty much is in on it. Everyone attacks, but it's 50-50. And this other fundamental element you have to have at place is that when we have to defend, everyone defends. Argentina, they perfected that. That's why they won the World Cup. They perfected that, and it becomes beautiful to watch. Like when they're on the other pitch attacking, when they're on the opposition attacking, it's beautiful to watch. But seeing them defend, it's just as beautiful, And my stance regarding Ange is just, I don't care if he gets sacked, whatever. I want a manager that understands that element to the game, That understands that there's two elements to football. Except take quality of the players and all that out of the picture. Like in the way you run a game, defense and attack. We have that. We have one of those at place, but the other is just it's not there, So I just wanted to bring that up, really, and there's not really a debate to bring, as I said, but I just because yesterday, comparing that Argentina team to us, they're just miles away. They're just miles away. And I know the quality is they're the World Cup winners, but just the way they it was baffling. It was baffling to see. And Messi's performance, 3 goals, the hat-trick and 2 assists. It was just it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I feel like we can't.
So Alex, I get it. So I've been saying for a while I don't think we're coached defensively enough, right? And
No, me
some
neither.
people
Me neither.
criticize me for it. Other people agree. Okay, I'm no masterclass. I'm no expert, but I've coached enough and done high enough level of coaching to know what I see. And I see a team that's always disjointed, always disorganized under pressure, and a lack of structure in certain defensive phases, and that's
Yeah.
coached. No one's going to tell me any different. It's coached. And I think what's happening at Spurs is we're so heavily drilled on play it out from the back, pass, move, high press, attack, attack, attack. It's all about the build up and attack and squeezing teams that we are neglecting when the transition from the other team defending to attacking us when we're high up. It's almost like everyone just rush back, but rush where? Who goes where? Why are they going there? Who goes elsewhere? Why are they going elsewhere? Where's the movement of the midfielders off the ball? Who should they be tracking? I just feel that the defensive side of the game is neglected. Yeah. I'm not saying we don't do any. I'm saying we don't do enough because we're so heavily depending on the other aspects of what we're working on. So when you say about Argentina defend as a team, they attack as a team, the reason maybe you don't see that with Spurs, in my opinion, is we are not spending enough minutes on defensive plays. When you look at Arsenal and you see how they defend, there's a reason they're that good. It's because they are coached to do that. It's coached into them. Of course. The reason Spurs have got a lot of possession of the ball in games, and the reason Spurs are one of the best pressing teams statistically in the league is because Ange has coached that. He has coached us to keep possession. He's coached us to press high.
Yeah, of course.
He has not coached the defensive side of the game. He has not coached enough of the defensive side. And teams that spot that, they set up traps to catch us on that, and they're succeeding. So I think that's kind of what you saw.
Yeah.
Or what you haven't seen with Argentina and Spurs.
Yeah. I can even make... but I think a lot of that goes down to the system, with our inversion of fullbacks, all that. Like, I'm going to make an example now. Let's say we set up with, I think this fits us the best. Like if we set up 3-4-1-2 with two, like, let's say strikers, center forwards up top. Can either be Brennan, Sonny, Solanke, Richie, of course. Those are the four options. And then like Deki, Matters behind. I'm from Sweden. I live in Sweden, by the way. So the way we've played recently under our new manager is we set up that way. And we play this insanely high press. Our recent statistics has been the best in Europe. I think we had 2 games in a row where we had 40 shots, over 40 shots, 50 something a game. Like it was crazy. I don't know how we play. We've played excellently. And the difference, of course, I'm going to make a difference between that team, the Sweden team, and because I'm a Tottenham fan, of course, too. So I'm going to make a comparison in that way. And the way we set up is different. We have a different formation, but our philosophy is almost the same. It's almost the same. But I think it also, like a lot of it goes down to the system, the way you set up. So let's say we set up in that 3-4-1-2. I think it would do a huge difference. He's not going to do it. That's why I said, like, I don't care if it's a new manager that comes in and does it. Amorim, even though he's linked with City now to be his Pep's successor, etc. But yeah, Ange in the beginning, of course, like I believe in all of that. Like the way he made everyone feel like during those first 10 games, you couldn't deny that. If that had kept going, everyone would feel like we would be on a path to something. Of course, it didn't. Chelsea, like all that, it's a cycle.
Those first 10 games, most of those teams were relegation teams.
Yeah, of course. I'm talking about the way we played and all that. I wasn't like carried away by that. I didn't say we were gonna win the league. I wasn't one of those that after those 10 games, it didn't matter if you were first. You just the logic itself. But yeah, like I came here to say like Argentina, they're perfect. They're the prime example. You can't be any more perfect than that. And yeah, I don't know regarding Ange. Like I don't know how many more Brighton games he has to have to realize that. Because honestly, like the Brighton game is said it was his worst game. Having that game, like as a Spurs manager, him saying it was his worst, I don't think it's gonna be enough. Let's say he has a much greater time frame of being at the club than we think. Like he's gonna get way more patience than we think. Then if he has another Brighton game, I think like honestly he has to have another one to change. And if he isn't gonna change, if he isn't gonna change having that catastrophic of a game, then nothing's gonna change. Honestly, nothing's gonna change, and that's why I couldn't care less really about the manager. I really couldn't. It's more about and I don't even think it's down to the quality of the players. You can see that what he wants to try to do isn't to create a team that's the best in the world at attacking and defending. He just wants to, we're gonna outscore the opponents. That's his philosophy. You know, they can put three against us, but we have to score 4. That's his kind of. So I don't know. I didn't really come to bring a debate really because I agree on a lot of what you and the show stands on, and it was more of that. Like I just had to bring that up because seeing football games.
Get it off your chest, man. Get it off your chest.
Get it off your chest. I really have nothing. Like I just had to because that game yesterday. It was something.
I think comparing us to Argentina is difficult.
No, I'm not comparing us, but I'm saying like the way they play. Like if the attacking part of it.
Alex, what I meant by that was they've got better players than us, right? They've got much better players than us. So I think they're able to play that way as well because they've got better players. My biggest criticism isn't even the manager's tactics. It's not even the chairman who people defend. My biggest criticism of Tottenham has always been the players we sign simply aren't good enough for what we want to achieve as fans. If we want to see a league title, if we want to see an FA Cup, if we want to see a European trophy, you've got to sign quality players. And I'm not saying every player should be quality. Sign 3 or 4 young players. I don't care. But sign 3 or 4 top players as well. And that's why I think we always come unstuck. The manager's tactics. At times he doesn't know what he's doing. The chairman doesn't give a shit. But at least sign some top players who've got a chance, right? And I think, when you look at Argentina, they've got so many good players.
But they could have that. They could have those players that they have now. But the coaching aspect to it, the way they're forged together as a group, because of because of the leadership Messi has created. Look at Portugal. They arguably have better football players than Argentina, player by player in the squad. They don't play the way like take the coaching aspect out of the system, all that. The way you play as a team, the heart you put into it, it comes from leadership. It's a huge aspect of the game. And
Alex, I don't know who's banging in the background, but it's really loud, as if someone's moving.
It is. I might have to either get off then or I don't know. But can we,
finish what you're saying. Finish what you're saying. Go on.
It was that. But I was gonna bring up the youth. Really, I'm one of those fans that know us signing youth wasn't a part of. We're gonna win this year. But I'm understanding. I'm understanding because us signing Archie and Bergwall has a plan. You can't say they were signed with
Alex, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
You're back.
So us signing them is I understand. Even though I can just throw out this general term. I'm leave out 100%. I'm all of that, but I can understand why we signed them because, like, if you take another scenario, which most other fans like you I can imagine wanted, is that we signed a senior midfielder instead of them, or that we just sign someone that can make an impact now. But my opinion is that if we were going to sign a senior midfielder, let's say for 40 million, as Archie was, then the reason of signing him must be that he upgrades us in a way. He can slot in right into the starting 11. But if you take one of those players that was available during the summer, 40 million, and you look at all of them, no one is going to be, except maybe Gallagher, because, Ange really wanted him. But if we was going to sign a senior midfielder, then right, he had to be a starter, because otherwise, why sign a player now that Archie, I'm saying potentially now, is in 2 years' time going to be much better than? Like, why sign someone that is on the level of Sarr, Bentancur, and Bissouma? Why add another one of those if it is an immediate upgrade, if it is a player that raises our game, And signing a player like that, you can't get one for 40 million. I don't believe you can get one for 40 million. And I don't know, I can't see the chat right now, but anyone's saying Fofana, he wanted to do Champions League. He was going to go to Milan. Yeah, that planned out. He knew where he was going to go. All these other players that people mentioned, they I don't believe they would start. And even if of course they could have the competence to start, but I don't believe that they would raise our level. I don't. My belief is that if we're gonna sign a midfielder, it has to be top class. It has to be someone, an out and out 6 that's top class. I don't know. Let's say hypothetically,
Alex, you're Swedish, right? You're Swedish.
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah, I'm Swedish. Yeah.
Okay, talk to me about Bergvall.
Yeah, go ahead. I followed him, by the way, since he was 15.
Yeah.
And I played for the same club that he his boyhood club. Really, I played for it.
So what's he about? Is he good? Is he average? Is he amazing? Is he just needs to calm down and see what happens?
I would say he's unique, not in his talent. Oh, he's Lamine Yamal level. No, but his play style, his way of, you can't find many other players like that in the world. The way he plays it's a lot of flashiness. It's a lot of, it's a little bit more old school. That's the way he wants to put his style. Like he wants to be standout-ish. He wants to be maverick, have this maverick energy to him. A lot of fans say, "Oh, he tries too much. He tries to be too flashy. He tries to do all of these things." But it's down to his game. When that aspect of him has always brought him to the highest level of his career. No matter where he played, having that is what everyone has. At the previous clubs he's been at, Hugh Gordon and Brompo, everyone has said that that's what he's excelled at. Being this player that puts this passes and creates something out of nothing, that does these 2 extra moves that aren't really necessary, but brings the fans standing up. That's this kind of it's hard to tell, but hard to put into words. But
he's an entertainer. He's an entertainer.
Say it again.
He's an entertaining player.
Yeah, to its kind of general, yeah, if you want to say it like that. I would say, because the times I've watched him back in Djurgården, here in Sweden, live.
Is he ready? Is he ready for the Premier League? Should he be starting games, or is he?
I believe that he's a player that, let's say, this is hypothetical too, but let's say he signed for Brentford or some team that doesn't really have anything to lose this season, doesn't really have any clear goals on where to end up in the table. If he started week in, week out, he's one of those talents that, with given trust and play time and consistent 90 minutes, his talent and like matureness in the way he plays will go like this. It will be exponential.
Yeah, but Tottenham play. But hold on. But Tottenham plays against the same teams Brentford plays against. So if he's good enough for Brentford,
I'm not saying that. I mean, game time wise, for us Spurs, he doesn't start. He wasn't signed to be. He was signed to be a squad player. He wasn't signed to become you.
Yeah, but my question is, is he good enough to start? That's my question to you. Is he good enough to start?
Right on. No. Yeah. Right on, no. But I believe.
So why is he good enough to start for Brentford then?
No. I'm saying no. I'm saying that for teams like Brentford, yeah, he could start. Definitely would be good enough to start. But if
why though? Why there but not Tottenham? What's
I can
the
say
reason?
this. In the beginning he would be, as we've seen him now, he would be a lot of he would have these lapses of concentration where he does these these mistakes, you can say. But as I said earlier, he's a player that when he slotted into you, Gordon, which was a big step up from it's a way different level. It's way less qualitative. But every single team he's moved up to into his career, in the beginning, it hasn't been. But he's a player that has gone like this, I don't want to make too many comparisons with players, but like Mainu, for example, he got shucked into that United midfield. I don't know which game it was. His development,
Yeah.
the fans, the Man United fans, the way they saw him wasn't, this guy, he had some bright sparks. No. 2-3 games in, Mainu has to start. That was what every United fan said, because he went like this. From starting that first game to the second to the third, he was up there.
From what you're saying to me, I think Bergwall's good enough to start. From what you're saying to me, I think
I'm saying for lower, because if he did that for lower teams, and if he got the confidence to, he shouldn't at Tottenham. He shouldn't.
Okay, so you're basically saying he's good enough to start for teams with the expectation is low. He's good enough to start, but with the expectations high, he's not quite ready.
No, I'm saying for us, we want to finish.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So, the expectation for Tottenham is high, so therefore he's not ready to start in that level of expectation. But Brentford, the expectation is to stay up, which is low. That's a low expectation. So for you, what you're saying is, in a low expectation club, he's ready to play.
Yeah, and I'm saying he wouldn't be the best ever if he started. But if he was at a club where they had nothing to lose, where if they played him, they saw like, oh, this kid has something to him, and if we start him, we only believe he's gonna go like this. Then what I've seen from every single change he has had in his career, he's always developed like that. And I'm not saying that he would become better than Kulu, Madison, anyone like that if he really broke through. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he would be a player good enough to start for us as an 8/10 hybrid, as Kulu is kind of. But that goes down to what I said earlier. We can't do that here because every game is important, every league game, and just not gonna. It's for the same reason he hasn't started more over Werner yet, even though that's what everyone has wanted to see that. He hasn't done it because it might shatter his confidence, yada yada yada, all of that. If he has a bad game. One argument, I just have to go through this. One argument that I think is absolute bullshit is that, with this fan base, if Moore started a game and really had a really mediocre performance, the fan base would go at him as they did with Johnson. That's absolute. First of all, age difference, 6 years. Fans are not going to expect the same from a £50 million signing. It's 23 compared to academy product. That's 17, 16. That's not on that. And what we've seen from him already is bright sparks of, this kid has something to him. With Johnson, when he first started, we didn't see, we weren't like, this, and he's been starting for us for over a year, and that built up that frustration. And for fans to go, but with Moore starting one game compared to Brennan that started all of last season, he's gonna get abuse. And his confidence is gonna go like that, and he's not gonna develop anymore, and that just. So the argument of playing Werner ahead of Moore, I think, for once, that is the most. I mean, Ange is not gonna change. He's gonna start Werner. He re-signed him. He has him on 165k wages a week. He's not gonna bench that for a 16-year-old. Because what happens then? I've signed someone who's on 165k a week, the third highest earner in the club, and I re-signed him for him to sit on the bench for a 17-year-old. I believe Ange's pride is too. it's too high up for that. If he was 100% like honest and real like integrable guy, then he would have gone. Yeah, this kid has more to him. He can do more for us, you know. Yeah,
Alex,
and with all the you,
I've got to rush this because I've got one more person that still wants to come on.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you one quick question before you go. Spurs West Ham. What's your prediction?
Good one. I think anything other than a win would be unacceptable. So I'm gonna say 4-1. There has to be a reaction from the boys because otherwise, every more positive fan has said, "Oh, we gotta. This has to be a reaction from the Brighton game because otherwise, what have we learned?" I don't know what Andrew said today. He said he's going to be ready to explode back on the players, blah, 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 blah. Today, when they get back to the training ground, if we don't react after Brighton and if we end up with a draw, losses, it's not in my picture, but if we end up with a draw, then, yeah. It's not been the season,
all right.
But yeah.
So you're going for a 4-1, which is 4-1. Kind of what I was thinking as well. 3-1, 4-1.
Yeah,
all right, listen, brother.
Yeah, big up,
Alex. Thank you for coming on. I do the show every 2 weeks, so if you want to come on in 2 weeks' time again, same time, feel free. I'll bring you back on. All right.
I come. Yeah, big up still. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care, bro. Okay. This is the final call for Charlie. Where are you? This is the final call. Where is the chicken? Has anyone seen this chicken? This is your final chance. All right, let's bring on someone who they say looks like Tom Cruise, someone who they say looks like Pochettino, the stud. That is Anthony. Big up, brother. How you doing?
We're on still. How are you, brother?
The ladies are screaming in the chat now. They're going crazy.
God, I wish only that were true. Hey, so listen, I wanted to bring up something that hasn't been mentioned yet tonight, but I think needs to be mentioned, and it's something that I thought about when Trossard came on for the Scum in their victory over us at the Tottenham Hotspur Corporate Stadium, and that's this. I don't think it's just the level of our players skill wise. I think we have skilled players in a lot of positions. I think that we lack, and Stell has said this, and I said this before Stell, but Stell might have said this before me. We might be just playing tennis with this idea. He might have said this 2 years ago, so I'm not claiming copyright to it. I'm just saying I did say this on your show a year ago, which is that we're too fucking nice. We don't have any bastards in our team. When Trossard came on, that guy looked evil. And he looked like he had an intent to destroy. And when Arteta whispered something in his ear, you could tell that slimy little bastard was going to cause all kinds of trouble. He looks mean. He plays mean. He plays with a certain kind of quiet anger, this kind of confidence. It's born out of this cockiness. Wilshere was the same way. These kind of guys that you just absolutely fucking hate. But they have it. There's something about them. It's not just how skilled they are. It's also they're not Pape Sarr because Pape Sarr is nice. He's a nice guy. He seems like a nice lad. You'd want to bring him home to your grandma and have tea and crumpets with the guy. And all of our players, like look at our number 6, Rodrigo Bentancur. Are you kidding me? Like he doesn't. He's a skilled, silky player. He's a wonderful footballer. He's not mean. He doesn't have that, and he's South American for God's sake. So. If he's not mean, what hope do we have? When you look at our players like Poro, Udogi, they're not bastards. What's the one true bastard we have in the team? It's Romero. But Romero doesn't even he's been kind of like sort of like the edges have been kind of smooth. And I understand that because he used to get cards all the time. So I get it. I understand he's a bit out of control. I don't want that Romero. But I mean like we need a team that has hard men in it. Yeah, and it doesn't just mean knocking into players. I don't just mean like how they defend. I mean how they play the game offensively. I'll give you an example. Aaron Lennon. Aaron Lennon was a frightening guy because he'd come on and that guy was he believed in himself, he backed himself, and that little blanker would just go at teams and just do stuff. And he wasn't a perfect player, but he had that kind of anger born of living in poverty and growing up where football was his only, outlet. And he was small. He was probably picked on. And God damn it, when that guy got on the football pitch, you knew that he was frightening to the other team. Jermaine Defoe had something like that too. He had something kind of tough about him. There's something gritty. He wasn't a perfect player. He wasn't the best striker in the world. But God damn, that dude he had a nasty streak to him. Even the way he played, the way he kicked a ball was nasty. He would kick these bullets and he would just.
Do you remember, Anthony? Do you remember the game against Chelsea with Pochettino? It's the day we lost the league title. We're 2-0 up at Stamford Bridge and we do 2-2, and they call it the battle of the bridge. Yeah. That game, we were nasty. We had a lot of horribleness about us.
Yeah,
to counter their horribleness.
In someone's eye, and they were flying into tackles everywhere. And yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And Mourinho in the Amazon documentary said you need to be a CUNT.
Yep.
You've got to have it. What you're saying is something we haven't seen since kind of mid-Poch era.
Yep.
We are too nice. We do sign a lot of kind of flowery, happy players that aren't players that come off social media because, people are being nasty to me.
Yep.
Stand there and tell them all to go to hell, man. Tell them all to go shove it, right?
Yep.
I agree with you, but isn't that symptomatic of the modern day football player, though, where football has become a bit more nice as opposed to it just being a Tottenham problem? Because what team would you say is nasty in the Premier League?
I think Arsenal has some. I think Thomas Partey has a nastiness to him. I think Trossard has a nastiness to him. I think even some of their even Starboy has a nastiness, meaning a dark arts kind of grittiness, a kind of like just willing to do what I think Saliba has a nastiness. I think Gabriel has a nastiness. I don't mean old school, absolute dogged, Graham Roberts, just, have a couple teeth missing per game type of, not that old school crappy pitch, leathery ball, just like, where the ref wouldn't call it unless your leg was broken type of nastiness. I understand that the game has become softer. I get that. What I'm more saying is a self-belief born of this sort of inner cockiness. It's hard to explain, but it's the kind of thing that you know it when you see it. Arsenal players have it. City players have it. So it's not a meanness of like 1984 meanness. It's a 2024 type of meanness. But what I mean is this kind of cockiness that goes with their persona. Tottenham have players like you look at Bergvall. Bergvall has a lot of talent. I like the kid. I do see something in him. But again, there's a sweetness to him. There's almost like a kindness along with his flashy moves. Even one of the only players that, like Kulishevsky is the same thing, right? He's physically intimidating and he does things with the ball that you can't get the ball off him type of thing. But he doesn't have that meanness. He doesn't have that kind of like that ferocity. He still seems like a nice guy. If you went down the list of our players, you would have way more check the nice guy box than you would cocky little bit of a dick, if I may, sorry to swear. I'll try to keep it down. But like the kind of guy that, like, when you look at Trossard, I'm sorry, but I keep going back to him because he's the perfect guy. He is so Arsenal. He looks evil and he plays with this. He's short. He's a little guy. He's not physically imposing. He's not really going to do anything, but he comes on like this attack dog. And when I was so jealous when I saw Lego Man whispering in his ear, because I was like, shit, I want a little attack dog coming on for us. I want an Aaron Lennon. I want a guy that's just gonna terrify people, not by the fact that they go sliding in with a 2-footed tackle. That's not really what I'm saying. I mean their play. They have this self-belief and this aura about them that reeks of that they're coming to win. They're coming to take no prisoners. They're not just there to get some minutes and have some fun and do a few tricks. They're coming to win the game for their manager, and they're going to do whatever it takes. I feel like we don't recruit those players anymore. I feel like Poch did to an extent. A perfect player for that. I know I'm gonna get pelters for this, but was Lamela. Eric Lamela, love him or hate him, when he came on that pitch, I guarantee the other team was not happy. They weren't like, "Oh, cool, Lamela's on. We're gonna have a nice time." They were literally thinking, "Holy shit, this guy may take a straight red to break my ankles." You can say whatever you want about Lamela. I don't just mean you, Stel. I mean people, like in general, Tottenham fans, because I know there's a huge love. But Lamela had that anger, that kind of like, this dude is gonna die for the cause. Not just hurting other players, but even the way he played offensively. He was trying things. Sometimes he'd go down blind alleys. I remember a game he come on. I think it was like 5-0 we were losing, or 4-0. I forget which game it was. But this guy was chasing every ball down in like the 93rd minute, scrapping, arguing, pointing on the pitch. And I was like, holy shit! I wish we had a team of guys like this. And I just think it's something. I don't think we're just lacking talent. I think we're lacking a kind of inner heart, an inner an inner being, an inner way to look at the game. It's more than just talent and tricks and back.
Anthony, you look at Anthony. You look at Newcastle's midfield. Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, and Tonali are all fighters. They're all bullies.
They are. Look at Tonali when he's on the sideline. That guy's coming in. You're kind of scared. You're like, God, this is a little worried. He makes you concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the Spurs team evolved. Danny Rose was a shit. Lamela was a shit.
Yes.
Dele Alli was, he had it about him. We had.
You're so goddamn right about Rose. Rose was really, he had a nastiness to him. There was something. It wasn't just he didn't go in.
It was a fighter.
There was something nasty about him. He was a little frightening.
Victor Wanyama took no prisoners.
Yeah.
He was a solid, animalistic player. I get what you're saying, man. I do get what you're saying. I agree. We don't really. You look at our midfield now. Pape Sarr's soft. Basuma wears his head out.
Yeah,
Bentancur's got it, but he's more technical. Madison's soft. Romero's got it.
Yeah, he's got it, but
Kulu's got it. Kulu's got it, I think. Yeah,
Kulu has it a bit. But I would say that he has it. I would want to develop it more. I would want, like, if I was a coach, I would G him up more in terms of that. I would want to see his nasty side more. I would say, take a yellow, for God's sake. I won't be mad at you. I want you to after the play, throw an elbow, do something like that. You know what I mean? Not to like knock a player out.
Throw an elbow.
Just something where he announces that he's not going to take any prisoners. I miss that about Spurs. And then another thing that I wanted to say was, we're talking about formations and stuff, and it's so obvious to me that we're playing, and this is not new ground. This is the most unoriginal take on Spurs you'll ever hear, but we're playing square pegs and round holes. We should be playing with a back three and wing backs. We don't have the team equipped. Destiny Udogie is not a left back; he's a wing back, and Porro is a better right back than Destiny Udogie is a left back, but he's still not a right back. He's a right wing back. They're not the same position, and I think someone was even mentioning, it could have been you, that Porro should be moved up. He should just be a straight winger, just period. Just put him at winger and have
a few people have mentioned that,
yeah, and so. One of the things that I really, I was listening to Stel's show this morning, to Sava's show this morning, and it was really unsettling. They were talking, Kuba came on and talked about the fact that we could be tenants in our own stadium in a few years down the line as the other parts of this, huge megalith conglomerate of, property ownership and franchising grows before our very eyes, that we could actually become, oddly enough, we were the starter, but then we go to the back of the bus and become like the least important thing about this whole, ENIC, property consortium. So I think we're at an extremely unsettling time in the club's history. I've seen worse Tottenham teams, but I've never felt worse about Tottenham, if that makes sense. And when Sava was talking about him being on Arsenal Fan TV and going to their stadium and them having plaques and statues and all these kinds of they've
got lots of statues actually.
Yeah,
a lot of statues.
When we come on, when you see Tottenham, when you go to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, if it's not game day, you wouldn't know that there's a football club there. You might think you're at a nicer Wembley. This kind of stuff is
Anthony in the stadium, right? In Arsenal Stadium, as you go around, so you've got the seating, then the next tier, the corporate boxes, and then you've got a row of advertising hoarding. Okay, Spurs have got digital ones. Arsenal have got the old kind of cardboard, whatever it is. As you go around, it says a year, a picture of the trophy they won, and then it says what they won. Then you go around, it's got as you go around the stadium inside, it's a timeline of success. When you go to Man United, it's similar. At Spurs, they don't mention any of it. They don't mention any of the success. It's just not there.
You know, Stel, what you guys are doing, and what you and Brian and you know are doing with protesting is so Don Quixote-esque, and I think is so beautiful in the way that you're speaking with your, you know, people are like, oh, well, then why do you go to games, Stel? How come if you feel, because you're a supporter, you want to see the team that you've loved before Daniel Levy was ever with it. It's not like you've only become a supporter in Daniel Levy's time. You have the right to go to games.
Because I'm here to fight.
Exactly.
I'm here to stand up for the truth.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. And to me, it's, you know, it's like I said a million times, you know, I'm a history teacher, and nothing has ever been achieved meaningfully without violence. Even the non-violent protests in
we can't condone violence though, man. We can't.
No, but I don't mean violence about people getting their head bashed in. I mean, and I've said this many times, violence does not have to come with blood. Violence can come with an air of menace. It's not about what happens that a bunch of people were killed at a Tottenham rally. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, were people killed at the Arsenal rallies? No. How did the Cronkies all of a sudden send their son to completely talk to the fans and say, okay, guys, we got it. We understand. Okay, we're sorry. We made some mistakes. We're going to fix it. Did people have to die for that to happen? No one died. No one get their head bashed in. They weren't burning the Cronkies in effigy, but there was an air of threat. There was an air of, you might see a half empty stadium. There was an air of anger. So violence doesn't have to come with bloodshed. Violence can come. It's the same thing with the Man U.
I think the word violence is the wrong word. I think what you're asking here,
anger or aggression.
Violence means physical abuse in the UK, right? In the UK, it's physical abuse. I think what you're saying here is what we need is a strong movement where people fear this lot aren't changing direction. These guys aren't backing down. We need strong protest. We need strong demonstration. We need no nonsense. We mean business. We're not here until there's a change. And that can feel somewhat intimidating, somewhat worrying. I think that's kind of what you meant, right? More along those lines.
Yes, I'm not asking for people to get hurt. That's not what I mean. But I do mean if you look at the Arsenal template, if you looked at them, and my best friend in the world, the best man at my wedding is Arsenal. And he's actually one of the reasons why I got into English football. Chose Tottenham just to spite him. No, there were other reasons. But my point is this: when I'm thinking about what they did, their fans, there's such an undercurrent of anger. It almost feels as if, and I hate to say this, but it feels like Tottenham is a bit effete. It feels like Tottenham is a bit snobby, is a bit of a higher class fan, is a bit of a higher caliber, not working class, but more white collar. By the way, I'm not saying they are. I'm saying this is the feeling that I get from America, from New York, where I live. When I'm looking at Arsenal,
we're not Anthony. We're not. The average Spurs fan is your typical blue collar person.
Cocky.
But what's happened? Yeah, they are that kind of working class fan. They are the typical Spurs fan. Is that?
And I know that, but I don't see any people mobbing you outside like they did with Arsenal Fan TV when they would be mobbing Robbie and spitting this invective again. Violence.
What it is though, it's a very deluded fan base. We are delusional. We don't think our shit stinks. We think we're onto something good. We think there's a plan and it's all coming together. We're just, the way we brush history under the carpet as if it never happened and refuse to learn from it for the next step is the delusion. The delusion is the way we just dismiss what's happened. It's okay that we had an elite manager like Conte. It's okay that we didn't back him. It's okay that he's not here anymore. That is not fucking okay. That was not okay what happened. But it's okay because there's another plan that is going to fix it until that goes wrong. And then that goes wrong. And it's almost like whatever historical events happen, just brush it under the carpet and pretend. That's the delusion, Anthony. And that's all fans. So many fans that do that at Tottenham. Not all, but the majority do that. They just pretend it never happened and it's okay. That's the problem we've got.
So
that's
can I
the
ask
biggest
you
issue
something as a Brit, is there any other fan base that's like ours? I'm being completely serious because it seems like West Ham, Newcastle, Arsenal, they all have a certain kind of fan, and we are like the ones that are off in the corner, completely different. Unless I'm imagining.
We out of the big clubs, we are by far the most tolerant, accepting fans of the lot. If we were fans, we've become very liberal. We're a very liberal fan base at the moment. I don't know where the hell this has come from. I think there's a fear that we might go back to what the 90s were like, where we were really bad. I also think there's a fear that if we change ownership, we might. Do you know what? I'll explain to you like this. This is the Spurs fan base right now. If you want Tottenham to go to the next level, you need a change of ownership. That means you've got to roll the dice. But if you roll the dice, you might get an amazing new owner, the same type of owner, or a really bad owner. If you don't roll the dice, you have the status quo. Most fans think the status quo can get it right. After 25 years, they think that they can still get it right. The ones that know that we need to roll the dice are too scared to roll the dice out of fear we get a bad owner. So the question is this: what's your risk tolerance? Do you want to stay in this safety comfort zone bubble of Spursy but never relegated? Or do you want to roll the dice, but there comes a big risk with that? We could be the greatest thing ever or end up being a bit of a disaster or somewhere in the middle, like the same old. So the question is this: what's your risk? Do you want to stay in your comfort zone or do you want to roll the dice? And I think most Spurs fans, when it comes down to it, they just want to stay in their comfort zone, Anthony. They just want to stay in this liberal safety net space rather than to dare is to do, which is the club motto, which means roll the dice. That's how I look at us right now as a club and as a fan base. Arsenal fans, City fans, United fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, they would roll the dice in the same situation. They would roll the dice.
I don't understand why we're any different. Like, I don't know. Do you think we didn't
fear? We fear rolling the dice. We fear it. We weren't like this before. But because we've become, say again.
Do you think that Levy changed the had some kind of like almost mystical effect, or like took the sort of neutered, like, snipped our balls off when we weren't looking to everything? When did this whole thing start? I guess it started with Levy. It's almost like he's a magician in addition to a businessman. He managed to take
brainwashed. He's brainwashed the fan base. He's brainwashed the YouTubers. He's brainwashed the podcasters. He's got the media by the balls. He's got the journalists in his back pockets. He knows what to say, what move to play, how to move the chess pieces. When it comes down to it, the guy's got a black belt in survival, man. He's got a black belt in survival. This guy's fucking the Mr. Miyagi of survival. He knows what to do. He knows the customer, but he knows our customer base. He knows exactly what to feed them at the right time. And everyone gets sucked into it. Whereas a few of us who just see right through it, including you, we are the minority, man. And that's the truth. We're the minority. We don't want the safety net anymore. We're done with the safety net.
Yeah, same.
We don't want it. We want to take a risk now. We want to take a chance and see what happens.
I would take us getting relegated if it got rid of Levy. And I mean that. I'm not being flippant or glib. I know what being relegated means. That's a real snake bit. And I understand that just because you're Tottenham, that doesn't guarantee you go up the next year. That is a real snake bit. But I want change so bad now that I would do. I have loved and lived and died with this club since 2003. This is my 21st year as a Spurs supporter. And Tottenham has replaced every major. They replaced the New England Patriots. They replaced the Red Sox. They replaced the Celtics. Every. I don't care about any American sport now. The only thing I care about is Spurs. And when I see what's happening to my club, and I see this kind of like, it's almost like at the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, when you realize that it's just, Jack Nicholson's character the fight's been completely taken out of him. He's been basically lobotomized. And it's when I see this, I don't know what to do. I'm caught of two minds. On Sunday, I want us to win and beat West Ham, but I think that if it implodes and then Postecoglou has to get sacked and we make, I don't know, 12th or whatever, and we have a real shit season and no one's coming to our Europa League games, we're getting 12,000 people in a 60,000 seat stadium, I think, then that will cause change. It's so difficult to be one of us because I can't root against my team, but then again, at the same time, there's not going to be any change without significant pain. And the pain isn't going to come from the fans until things bottom out. I think Postecoglou is the perfect guy in a way because it can be entertaining. I don't personally, but like I was one of the only people probably on the face of the earth that actually liked Conte and thought that he was dealt a bad hand and was doing the best.
I loved Conte. I got hated for defending the guy. I got hated for Anthony. By the way, I just want to say, when I say too liberal, again, this is just my personal view, guys. So I'm not trying to bring politics into it. Liberals sit in the middle. They don't take a position. They don't back a side. They try and please both sides. And in the end, they please no one. And I believe liberalism has failed catastrophically, which is why you see anarchy all over the world right now and all these far left and far right groups forming because of liberalism. That's what I mean. Spurs is that failure. I'm going a bit deep on that. I didn't want to go deep, but I'm just trying to explain what I meant by that. That's what I mean by it.
I completely agree with you, and I understand what you mean. You're talking, liberal, small L, and it's just I guess when I'm looking at my club and our fans, I would give so much to go and talk to like 1,000 Spurs fans over multiple days and just really like get into what they're thinking, because when you go on different Spurs podcasts or whatever, or YouTube shows, you're usually going to get like-minded people that are all going to go to Last Word on Spurs and listen to Ricky Sachs, not that he has guests on, but I'm saying like those type of fans go to this one. You've cut out this niche for people that actually are red-pilled and do want to know what's going on in reality, but you are a minority. And all I can say is guys like you, Brian Daigle, Saba, bless him, even though he's not pro-protest, and I think protests are extremely important. I think without them, we've truly lost the plot. But getting away from that, still, Saba bangs on about this horrible ownership and the kind of players we have and the problems that we have. I think doing that kind of work is so vital. And I think as soon as I don't know how much more our fans can be out of touch. How much more what is it going to take? When will they finally wake up to the reality of what's going on? Postecoglou is not going to win us a title. We're not going to win anything with him. And God, I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to fail, but I know that we will because of his one route, offense only to, suicide ball. So I guess, just to end this, I mean, you're right. Everything that we do under Levy is rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It doesn't. Nothing is ever going.
Spot on.
But
Spot
you
on.
know, as you know, this
Spot
as long as Levy's there, I can't see any way out of this mediocrity at best. And that's why I say, you know, I won't say the word violence anymore. I'll use the word aggression. I really hope that our fans can you know, that's why there's a part of me, and I'm going to say something that's, you know, that's going to get me pelters, but I will say this: if Arsenal won the league, I almost wouldn't mind it in a way. Obviously, every fiber of my being hates Arsenal. That's not the point. My point is that would that wake us up? Would we finally look at, well, they were behind us when we had Conte. Remember, we got fourth, and they were the team that was, you know, just didn't know how to run things. Now all of a sudden they're league winners, and we're nowhere near it. Like, what will it take? Is, I guess, when I'm, you know, like I'm speaking rhetorically, but I wonder when, if there will come a tipping point. Like, Levy does have 20 lives, but even that has to run out sometime. There has to be a time when we finish so shittily that, you know, like in 9th or 10th place, and we're out of every cup, that fans just, I don't know, maybe don't want to pay the prices anymore. And so the stadium, they pan around to, you know, 15,000 people not being there, empty seats. I guess I just wonder where we go from here. I can't forecast the direction of this club, because Levy seems to be able to slither out of everything. But what's he going to do when Postecoglou fails and these square pegs and round holes and this offense-only suicide ball? What's going to happen when that implodes? What next? We get, you know, Amarin. We get, you know, is Pep going to come and manage us? Like, there has to be a time. You know, I think our team is such a small team. I think we have like 18 players that can be really depended on. I don't know how much longer the football side can go on with Levy's benign neglect. You know, he never leaves it so that we get relegated, but he doesn't do anything. He doesn't buy the kind of players that we need to actually win the league. How long can people accept this? If, you know, I guess I'm amazed at our fan base and how placid they are.
I'm stunned by it. I'm stunned by it. But, you know, I was at the Old Trafford game, and I saw the two sides of it. One fan started screaming at me in front of the others, wanted to basically have a tear up in the stands.
God,
Another
I
guy came over, another guy came over, put his arm around me and said, Still, calm down, man. I agree with you. I watch your show. I'm on your side. It's like we've gone from one extreme to the other here. And that's the Spurs fan base at the moment. But I think if it unravels with Ange, it'll be very telling to see what happens with this fan base. Really telling to see what they're going to do. Whether they're going to finally turn on the chairman, or they're just going to say another manager gets a better tune out of these players.
Yeah, it's Ange's
you know, just
all Ange.
Yeah. And Ange will probably take. Yeah. Anthony, listen, before we go, I need to ask something. Spurs are playing West Ham on the weekend. I've asked everyone, what's your thoughts on the game? What do you think will happen? Do you think Spurs will win? Do you think Spurs will lose? What's your prediction? How do you see it going?
All right. I'm usually, you know, every time I do this, I sort of set up this, you know, this paradigm where I say we're going to lose, but hopefully we're going to win. If I'm honest and I had a gun to my head and I would be killed if I didn't answer this correctly, I think we're going to win. I hate saying that. It makes me sick. You said that a couple of times, like, oh, we're definitely going to beat, you know, I don't know who you said about, I gave you a little stick about this a couple like months back or something. You said we were going to beat someone. I'm like, Stell, why did you say that? As soon as those words come out of your mouth, we were done. But so, you know, I'm going to take that mantle up now. I honestly, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to beat West Ham at home. I think it'll probably be a fun game to watch. I think it'll be probably like 3-1 us, and they'll score a late goal, and it'll be squeaky bum time. But, you know, I think we'll win 3-2. But, you know, nothing would surprise me with this manager. I cannot believe that he doesn't see through to playing a back three, playing with wing backs, doing his same attacking football, but you don't have to do it with the same shape that we have. I think we do have a problem of formation. I do think that a Thomas Tuchel or someone like that, just pretend I don't want Tuchel, but if a different manager was dropped into this club right now, I don't think we're a deep club. I don't think we're like City where we could field 2 teams. In fact, I know that we're not. But I do think that our formation is just completely wrong for the players that we have. And I think that we're going to burn out the players that we have. And, we need to play with the back 3. It's just, we should be 3-5-2 all day long. Son would work better up top with Solanke. I think there would be so many different ways. You don't even have to constantly play a back 3. You can shift back and forth in game. Nothing has to be set in stone. But I do think that Ange has made a rod for his back with, all of these attacking comments. And everyone's like, if you score 3, we'll score 4. When the hell have we scored 4? I mean, we did it, last time away at Aston Villa, I think, which was like a one-off. We don't score 4. We score 2. So it's basically like, if you score 1, we'll score 2. That's about the only thing that we can really say, because we don't score these 4 or 5, or we never light the lamp and constantly, have these high scoring games. We score about 2 goals a game, maybe 3 if we're lucky. A lot of times 2 or 1. I think against West Ham, I think we'll come out of the traps flying. I think that they're the kind of team that that will come to play. I think we'll get in behind them, and I think we'll score an early goal, and the crowd will be G'd up. But then, as usual, I think it'll be squeaky bum time at the end. But I'm going to go against everything that I stand for and say that we're going to win 3-2. And God, I hope I'm not regretting these famous last words.
I think we're going to win 3-1 or 4-1, because I've seen how West Ham defend, and they're a bottom 10 team, and I expect us to beat all the bottom 10 teams because we're set up like that. And the reason they're the bottom 10 is because they can't defend.
You said something like that last time. Bottom 10 teams.
Brighton. No, we haven't lost to a bottom 10 team this season. Brighton are top 10. I said we'd lose to Brighton because I thought without João Pedro, they lost their star man, but fuck me, Mitoma he destroyed us. What a player he is. So
what I would give that
in the face. In the face.
He is unbelievable.
Better than Werner, better than Odebert, but fuck it. It's not how
we and also, and one last thing. I know you got to go, but I do want to say this.
Right.
If anyone has followed you, they will see that back in June, you were like raging about Werner, and I will never forget this. I said, and people that I know that were watching the show were like, what's he? And I understand I don't like Werner either, but my God, he's just a squad player that'll help on some cold night, when we're playing some team, Bratislava, type of thing. And I'm like, no, Stell has reason. Stell has said that if he's getting paid that amount of money, and if he's signed, he's taking a place away from a player that could play. He's hurting the squad, and then we're not paying his wages for him to sit there and only play away in Bratislava. That he is going to be the damnation of this club. That this is a sign, and that this is a letter of intent signed by Levy and Ange as far as what they want to do going forward. And people were like, "Oh, come on, Sava, aren't you?" Sorry, Stell. I always mix you and Sava up. I know who you are. Come on,
everyone does. Everyone does that.
Both names begin with an S, and you're both against Levy. But so Stell, anyone that looked at that would go like, "Oh, what's he going? What's he, spitting his dummy out for?" There's a lot more summer to go. There's many more players. He's just this good squad player. If he comes right, it'll be great. If he doesn't, whatever, no big deal. We're not committed to the guy. But you were like, no, you don't understand. To people, you were like, this is a sign. It's not just Timo Werner. It's the fact that a manager would want this player tells me everything. And God damn, you were right. I mean, this guy's already lost us a couple games already just by his sheer ineptitude in front of goal. It literally is amazing how bad he is for being, a talented, quick player that gets in behind and gets in these positions, but he can't finish. And my point is that you were having an absolute conniption fit in June when there was, a ton of time. Who knows who we were going to get? We were going to get, all these players that we were after. And yet you saw this as a sign. And it's kind of like people should listen to you because you know what you're talking about. And when you had this fit about
Anthony, I've seen this before. That's why I've seen this all before. It's I don't brush the history under the carpet. History is what we should learn from, and I don't think we've learned from it.
No,
and Werner was the perfect statement of not learning from your past. What's the point of getting rid of the deadwood if you're going to bring new ones in? What are we doing, Spurs fans? But listen, man, thank you for bringing it up because
I love that.
I've told We Are Tottenham TV, Ben and Sim, so many times. Get me on your show. Get me on that panel show because I want to talk about that. Because the abuse I got on your channel, the hate I got in those comments was unbelievable.
It was insane. I was there. I watched it. Yeah.
This is redemption. This is redemption. I want my time. They won't do it.
Yeah.
They won't do it. So
it was on there. It was on their show that you said this, and this is when they had you on. And I remember I was like, wow, they had them on. I couldn't believe it. And you were able to have your bully pulpit, your moment in the sun, because they have this huge subscriber base, and there's so many people that watch their show, and you just didn't pull a single punch. So you went right for the jugular, and it was so cool because people were like, "Oh, come on, okay, fine." None of us like the way he is in front of goal, but still, there's a long summer to go. There's a lot of more room. There's a lot more players. If Timo Werner is our biggest problem, then wow, we don't have many problems. And you're like, you guys don't understand.
Anthony, go on their channel, right? There's no clip of Ben. There's no clip of Sim. There's no clip of any guest that ever went on that show that said what I said about Werner. The only clip is of me. Clip me, get your 20,000 views, jackpot. But when I want my redemption, no replies.
Yep.
I'm a ghost to them. Oh, okay. All right. I know these games, you know. Listen, they're both good guys, but mate, this is what's the word?
I know. At the end of the day, you're bad for business, and so they want to they don't want to come on and eat humble pie and look like an idiot.
Exactly. There's a lot of pie. There's a lot of pie there. But listen, one thing I do want to say in the comments tonight, people were mentioning that. Miss Bunny mentioned it off topic, but Liam Payne from One Direction died. R.I.P. Liam. Listen, the only reason I brought this up is because I've actually met him. I met him in Minneapolis, America, at a conference. Here I am with Liam Payne.
Wow. How did he die? Am I asking? Did he? Was it a drug overdose or was it some kind of
No, it was an accident. Apparently, some kind of accident. I need to go off this show. I'm going to read it, but I just wanted to mention it because I went up to him. I met him in a bar.
He's the Irish.
I said hello to him. He was from up north in England.
Okay,
from up north in England.
I
said hello to him. No, he's not from London. He's from a band called One Direction. They were quite big. And I said to him,
No, I know who 1D is. I didn't know where Liam was from. I thought Liam was the Irish one or whatever because they had everyone.
I don't think he's Irish because he had a northern accent. Okay. But I went up to him and I said, "You're Liam Payne," and he could have said, "Yeah, whatever. See you later." And I remember saying to him, "I respect you because I thought you were a dick," but then I saw a podcast with you on it, and after I heard your story, I thought, "Wow, I take it all back." And in that moment, his reaction was, "Come here, sit there." He sat me in his area, bought me a drink, sat next to me. We had a drink that he paid for, and he had a 10-15 minute chat with me about life. And he's a top bloke. Anthony, he's a genuinely good soul. And I thought, you've had your troubles, but had a really good chat with him. So when I found out he died, I was just upset a bit because I met the guy and I've seen the real him, and he's a genuine good lad. And listen, man, rest in peace. That's a sad story. He was only like 31, 32, you know.
God, that's
he's a young guy.
Oh my God, that's a baby. Jesus God, I'm going to be 57. I could be his father. This is. I will say this, Stell. You said something that's a key. You said I thought one thing and then admitted I was wrong and changed. And changed course and was open because you are always open to learning things, to admitting, I remember even after the Man U game, you were like, okay, let's not get too excited yet, but I did see some good things today from Ange and all this kind of stuff. You are one of these people, and I'm the same way. If I will, toot my own horn about one thing, is that we can admit when we're wrong. We're not afraid to. And so many people are married to their narrative to the point where they can't let go. They can't admit when they made a mistake or they didn't have all the information. So that is such an important thing to keep an open mind. And it seems like all these happy clapper Levy backers are, they can't have an open mind about stuff. It's like they're just, they think one way, it's very tunnel vision, and they don't want anything to impede on their narrative. And, you know, it's very important in life to be able to be open to not only being wrong, but also changing the way that you view things and you know, with more information. It's a
listen. He was interviewed by Stephen Bartlett on a Diary of a CEO. It's quite a big podcast now.
Yeah, I know.
And it's almost like he's become like our version of Joe Rogan. He's becoming like the UK Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And when he interviewed Liam, a completely different side of this guy came out, and I thought, wow, man, this guy's got some deep story. So when I saw him in real life, I felt obliged to tell him. And listen, people can respond to people in different ways. His response was, come here, sit in my private area, have a drink, let's talk.
Yeah.
What a guy, man. Like, I'm a
That's
nobody. This is a superstar singer. Who am I?
Yeah.
Who the hell am I? But
yeah, he doesn't have to give you the time. Man. No, that's awesome.
No,
I hope
did as well.
Maybe Diary of a CEO can have Daniel Levy on the pod, and then we'll maybe he can.
Listen, violence, Levy on the podcast. You trying to get us shut down, mate? You trying to get us shut down?
Arsenal winning the league, us getting relegated. Yeah, I've said a few doozies, but you know what can I say? I'm a wounded animal. This is what this is what
you know what
has done to me.
I can tell you're like me, Brian Sava, Iggy, everyone. You're like, you've given up, man. You've just given up with this ownership. There's no going back. There's no going back.
I've checked out. It really is like Sava said. It's like an ex-girlfriend that you'll always have love for. I can never not love Tottenham, but the pain that this corporate entity under Levy has brought me is just to the point where I am. There's a level that I'm removed from games. I'm not as hurt as I used to be. Under Poch, I would live and die with everything, and now I've just checked out. I don't even, you know, I watch the games. I'm not checked out enough that I don't follow my beloved club, and I'm constantly listening to your show and listening to Sav and listening, you know, just everything I can you know,
consume.
Consume. That's where I kept thinking subsume. Everything I can consume, I do because I love the club. But Levy has deadened it for me, and it's really, really, really sad. I all I can say is keep up the good work, brother, because you have a lot of people, you know, here that very much support you. There's a lot of me's and a lot of Maris. There's a lot of Americans that completely see where you're coming from and completely agree. I think Americans might be more open. Change.
It's all the Tottenham away guys. It's all the Tottenham away team. It's the Savas. It's the Daigles. There's a group of us, you know, and we're not going to change. We're not changing for anyone. No fucking way, man.
I know you're.
No. Listen,
it's nice to see you building a brand on that. I love that.
Listen, the truth. That's all it is. It's our truth. It's nothing else. It's just our truth, and we don't change it for anyone. Anthony, listen, I could chat to you all day. You know, I could, but I've got to shut it down. It's been 3 hours. I planned to do a 2-hour show. I've done 3 hours 15 again. But
you saw me in the waiting room.
No. Do you know what? I was hoping you were going to come on because you messaged me the other day and I said come on this week. So when I saw you, I was like, oh, good, he's come on. I was actually happy. Yeah. So
awesome.
Big up to you. A lot of people in the chat been saying Anthony, great guest tonight. So a lot of love for you in the chat. Also, R.I.P. Liam Payne. Very sad story that. But we go on football again this weekend. We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed, and that's all we ever do. It's always hope.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks when there's some grist for the mill.
Bring it.
All right, brother.
All right, everyone.
See you, Stal.
Take care, my man. Big up to Anthony. Everyone in the chat, thanks for being on the show tonight. Appreciate you all as always. Smash the like on the way out. Hit subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. We'll be back at some point this week. I think Mari might be doing a show. If not, we are live on Saturday evening. It's our post-match show for the Spurs v West Ham post-match analysis. So join us for that. Otherwise, guys, listen, love to you all. Thank you for being here. Big up to JP for the t-shirt. And have a good rest of the week. Peace.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.